RFK say that? Does he have any evidence of that? I would submit to you he probably does not have any evidence of that at all. He also stated that gender identity, you already know what that is. That's all over in the news. Children, suggesting that they are one gender or feel like they're another gender. Anyway, he said gender identity may be impacted by water. What the fuck is that? Is it something in the water? Once again, no evidence. You're not likely to get any proof, any medical evidence at all. I don't know where he's coming with this stuff from. Gender identity in children may be impacted by water. No clue. No clue. He stated that COVID was somehow engineered so that it does not affect Jewish and Chinese people. No evidence, once again. I don't know where, like I said, I don't know where this shit comes from. But this is why I see in the comments, keep it simple, says I knew it was the water. So you drinking a glass of gay water? This is what I'm talking about, folks. I'm not saying that RFK may not turn out to be a great appointee, but there is a legitimate reason why people are viewing him this way, why his credibility is being challenged. So he said that COVID was pre-engineered so that it does not affect Jews and Chinese. Yikes. Yikes. And last but not least, he mentioned that the 5G wireless network, we're all likely on 5G. I'm going to switch my TikTok feed over to Wi-Fi for a minute here because it's telling me it's unstable. Now we all aware that we all are using 5G, whether you're on Verizon, T-Mobile, or whatever the hell network you're using. But he stated that the 5G wireless networks are used to control our behavior. All of this came from one man. That is your head of DHHS, human. What did I say? HHS stand for? I can't. Human Health Services, I think, is what it stands for. Now, this is all stuff that RFK has said before. So, what I want to ask you folks is, do you believe he is a good appointee by President Trump? Do you think Trump made the right decision by appointing him? Now, I will submit to you before I start taking calls and before I start going into the comment section. I strongly believe, just like with President Trump, RFK also could be a very good appointee. But just like with Trump, as I often say, if he can get rid of the bad and only do, because Trump and RFK are offering to do some really good things for America. But there is a lot of bad in there as well. Things that are scaring people, frightening them, and as I said with RFK, lack of credibility. That applies to Trump as well. Chris, appreciate the sub. Thank you very much, Chris. So what I'm going to ask is that question indeed. How do you feel about RFK being appointed? Now, what is RFK offering that could be good, or is he just a lunatic? He's not just a lunatic. I strongly believe he is onto something in reference to the amount of chemicals, artificial ingredients, and things like that in our food. I actually think now, he didn't get any love from Democrats for obvious reasons. The Democrats weren't running on that shit. The Democrats were running on the LGBT issues. They were running on, police reform, forgiving college tuition, and things like the Democrats were not running on correcting the foods we eat. Remember Michelle Obama talked about improving the quality of lunches for kids in schools. The right hammered her on that. She talked about, I forgot what it was called, but Michelle Obama was talking about improving the quality of lunches that children were eating. And the right tore her up about that. So it's odd that they're now putting in RFK, and that is his primary standing point. But I do believe RFK is onto something, because as an individual who lived overseas myself, I'm 6'6", 300 pounds. I say it all the damn time. I'm a big dude. When I lived in Australia, just through natural attrition, I started losing weight. The food is healthier. You go to restaurants, you don't get these unlimited sodas that are so damn huge. Certain ingredients are banned. I don't know the list of them, but Europe's the same way. Europe is the same way. They don't let food companies and suppliers put the same shit in their food over there that we do over here. Now, keep in mind, for all of our folks that on the right that may be cheering on RFK, remember, we are a capitalist nation. The reason all that bad shit is in your food is because people are making money off of it. So what we're talking about is using big government to interfere with the free market and capitalism. That's what RFK is going to do. He's going to use the hand, he's going to use the weight of big government to control what people, what manufacturers can and can't put in their food. That's not normally something the right would do. Using big government to interfere with the operations of the free market, they normally tell you that if it's bad, the free market will sift it out. People will just choose not to eat the stuff. That's normally how the free market works. So this is the opposite of what the right usually does. But I'm going to go straight to the box. I've bloviated enough. RFK, is he a decent appointment? We'll go straight to Andy. Good evening, Andy. Now, I'm assuming you don't necessarily favor RFK. What do you think of him, though?
I don't know what a environmental lawyer knows about any of that stuff, but it ought to be interesting.
Yeah.
Looking at Trump's cabinet, I literally see a circus clown car pulling up and all these people getting out.
Who else? But obviously, you're concerned with Matt Gaetz. But who else other than Matt Gaetz are you concerned with?
Tulsi. Come on now. Could we put in any more unqualified people for these jobs? This shit show, we're just waiting to watch. Because this is all on the Republicans, and when it crashes and burns, I'm going to die laughing.
Now, Tulsi Gabbard got intel. What are you concerned? Now, she is former military, at least at a lower level. What are you concerned with Tulsi Gabbard? What makes you not a big fan of that?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure her and Trump would hand over everything to Putin.
I don't know. You know, Putin put Melania Trump on television. Some explicit photos of.
Basically, he's telling Trump, "I own you."
You think that's what it is?
Yeah.
Is that the way to do it? I mean, wouldn't that create a falling out?
Better pictures of Melania than the other pictures he's got.
What other pictures does he have?
Well, let's see. When they asked Trump about the women in Russia, he said he knew nothing about it. But then at his court hearing, he said those 4 women. Nobody ever gave a number to how many women there were. Every newscaster in the nation called onto it. They're like, 4? Where'd he get the number 4 from?
But would that make any difference, though, Andy? I mean, we've heard women suggest that Trump has violated them. You heard him.
I don't think it mattered to us, but I think it matters to him.
You really think so? I don't know. If Trump hold on. If Trump went to Russia and he had a fling with some Russian women over there, how would Putin own him with that? I don't think the American public would care about that.
It is from what they said was going on. A certain kind of shower.
Oh, my golden shower. I don't think it would matter. Like I said, I don't think MAGA or even the independents in this country, I don't think it would matter with them.
It's about what he thinks, though. It's not about what we think. Look, I can't wait to see Not Matt Gaetz, Elon Musk lock heads with J.D. Vance. That's like the megalomaniac central up there. And then you're going to add Steve Bannon to the mix and Michael Flynn. It ought to be an interesting year.
But is it that he's picking the wrong people, or are we having a liberal meltdown? In the comments, Andy, by the way, Andy Davis says, "I'm loving the meltdown by all the liberals. Might use their might use their tears to rinse my hair." Is this a case of liberal tears?
Look, I ain't worried about these people. Look, tell them we're just sitting back to watch. We're happy you won it all. So this way you got nobody to blame but yourself.
What if it goes well, though? No chance. Wait. You saying there's no chance at all that Trump might actually do a good job?
Elon up there, there's just no way.
But
this would be the most interesting shit in history.
But keep in mind, while you're talking about them making shitty appointments, Many on the left thought that Trump's first administration was going to be a shit show, and turns out it's going to. Right now, it looks like it.
It was a revolving door. I wouldn't work at a restaurant that had that kind of turnover.
Yeah, but think about it this way: you're saying it was a shit show. You're saying it had revolving turnover. But if you compare Trump's administration 16 to 20 to Biden's administration 20 to 24,
He
most
never had to fire anybody.
yeah, but most Americans favor Trump.
Well, I can't help it. We have a perception problem.
Well,
That's like, they don't understand. Like, it is not my fault they do not understand capitalism. They do not understand why prices are the way they are. This is not my fault. My money's safe. I'm just going to sit back and watch.
I don't know. Like I said, if you look at Trump's first administration, people liked it. You may sit back and watch something that most Americans think is a good job.
I don't know. Elon and them are going to cut the veterans' benefits. We'll see what happens then.
Well, do you feel confident this stuff is going to happen? Maybe it's being done to just upset for you. You really feel like Trump, under the Trump administration, they're going to cut veterans' benefits?
Trump has already got 2 people in his cabinet accused of SA. And one of them, he's trying to make the top cop.
Matt Gaetz.
You don't think this is going to be a shit show? Really?
I think it has I definitely think there's a possibility of it being a shit show, but I don't think it's beyond the realm of being reined in.
You think the military's going to take orders from a major Kaplan?
If you replace the ones that are dissenting, it will.
Shit, no, they won't.
You think that the military...
You can take somebody at the top, but you cannot make those men at the bottom fight for somebody they don't believe in.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if my caller has a call. I'll give her a chance.
Have you ever heard the word conscientious objector?
Well, I don't know. What you're saying could get people court-martialed in what do you call it? Discharged from the military dishonorably.
Yeah, and that dude being a major chaplain, not having any military experience could cost the military a hell of a lot worse.
And I see somebody in the comments, Craig said he cut our benefits, military-wise, he cut our benefits the last time. Why wouldn't he do it again? I was under the impression that Trump did not want to continue sending money to the Ukraine so that he could help veterans. You guys are saying just the opposite.
Even my husband laughed at that one.
You really think this guy's going to be that bad? You really think America... I mean, he won by a lot, Andy. You really think America got it that wrong?
Look, do you remember Steve Bannon when he got caught on Mother Jones? That leaked audio and more leaked audio. Steve Bannon said that after Trump, described how they were going to say the election was stolen.
He said it on October 31st. I remember.
He can tell them to kick rocks because they're never going to need him to. They're never going to need him to vote again. So yeah.
But everything you're saying, Andy, most of that stuff came out in the American voting population still stood behind Trump considerably better than they did Kamala Harris. Most of the stuff you're saying is almost like old news.
Well, look, there's already buyer's remorse, though, because some people are finding out they're not going to get a bonus because their company's got to spend money. That was already on the news.
Well, yeah, they're going to find, the media is going to find a few people that...
prepare for the tariffs because we know things will be more expensive.
Yeah,
I've already bought up several things I know that are going to go up in price, and I'm just going to sit back and watch.
Do you really believe, because Trump said 100%, then he said 1,000% tariffs. Do you really believe he's going to actually do that?
I don't know. I don't think Trump knows what a fucking tariff is.
Now, Chris in the comments says he doesn't give a damn about all the goofy stuff. He stated as long as Trump increases transparency like he's supposed to. What about that? That Trump talks to the people, holds rallies, he's always being transparent. And folks like Biden, you didn't even see him that much while he was president.
Where's Trump's medical records? Where's his taxes?
I don't think that's...
Him over.
I don't think that's what they're...
No medical records, no taxes again.
I don't think that's what they're concerned with, though.
It doesn't matter. They want transparency. No, they don't.
They want to know.
Because if they wanted transparency, they would want it from him too.
That's a
bullshit lie.
They want to know what he is doing to run the country and address their own personal issues. They don't care about his taxes, Andy.
Okay, they may not, but you know what we found out last time? He was giving money to China. See, it's not my fault that MAGA's not smart. I can't help that. And I'm tired of being nice to him. Like, after the election was over, I made the decision I don't have to be nice to him anymore. They made their choice. They made their bed. They get to sleep in it, and they get to accept responsibility. Because see, they got mad at the Democrats, not because they believed we were trying to treat Trump a certain way and treating him horrible, but in reality, we were holding him accountable for the crimes he'd already committed. And the fact that they have such an extreme problem with accountability, this is what they deserve.
Now I'm hearing you, but I got on YouTube. I got Christine Burns says sour grapes is saying that you are a big mouth Democrat. I don't know what the big
I
mouth.
don't give two shits. I don't care. They can have a great day. I am not the one that's about to suffer for the decision they made.
Are
They
you?
are.
Are you sure though that they're?
Yeah, I don't have a womb. They can't. That's one way they're not coming for me.
No, here's what I'm asking you. Are you
Husband's not
confident?
poor. So I'm. Look, I could code switch if I wanted to. I just generally don't because I stand in solidarity with my sisters. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, MAGA's not fucking with me.
Let me ask you this. Do you want MAGA, do you want the Trump administration to fail, or do you wish them the best? Because keep in mind, they are our country.
But I doubt that's going to happen.
But so you do want them to succeed.
Well, yeah, I don't want to go broke. Like, I don't want them to throw away our money and our time and injure our military. I don't want them to rip this country apart, but they're going to.
They didn't, but folks are going to keep bringing up they didn't do that the last time they were in office.
Well, they didn't have the Supreme Court give him complete immunity, and he hadn't tried all the triggers, and he hadn't been to see Viktor Orban, which, by the way, goes around Europe, being the Yahtzee that he is. So, I mean, they can say what they want. What they say doesn't matter to me anymore because even Trump knows they are low information voters, and that's it.
Fair enough. I do got to move on, but I want to ask you one last question before we go. I may have talked to you about this before, but you and I talked a lot before the election. You strongly believe that Kamala's going to win because the women were going to stand up in solidarity. What happened to that, particularly the white women? What the hell happened?
Church. A
Church.
bunch of them are just in for the money, and I don't know. I was very disappointed. But look at Alabama. You realize how blue that state is for it to be so generally so red?
Well, is it a possibility that, because you're pointing out the blue in Alabama, is it a possibility that maybe Kamala Harris was just a bad candidate?
No, I mean, if you look at the numbers, it's not like Trump won by a landslide. I mean, he won all the states, but he won it by the margins are narrow as hell.
But he did better. But he did better than he did the last time. So he's gotten more favorable.
Well, you know why? Because his voters will go out and get sick or whatever. And the reason we did better last time is we made it easy for people to vote. We had mail-in voting. So people like in my state didn't have to give up a whole day's worth of pay to go vote. Because it's the only day they get. And that's why we had more voter participation. Because reality is when you make it easier for people to vote, they do. But states like Alabama then don't want people to vote. That's why they snatched that away so quickly. And for the first time ever, they let more than 2 candidates be on the ballot. And they purged the voter rolls. Sounds like they were afraid of something.
Yeah, and I see on the television behind me, ABC Nightly News has got a quote from Zelensky saying that Trump will end the war faster. You sure he's doing a bad job? I mean, you got the leader of Ukraine saying that Trump's going to end the war.
But you better look. We all know what headlines mean. Better make sure you see the whole story, because what if Zelensky's saying that and he means by giving everything to Putin?
Damn.
Headlines are just headlines.
Fair enough. All right, Andy. Appreciate it.
Peace.
Good talk. All right, moving on with the program. That is Andy indeed. Kamala was terrible, says Donald Williams. Did the 15 to 20 million, where did the 15 to 20 million voters go? Biden had them. Well, my personal opinion about the 15 to 20 million voters is that I don't personally believe Kamala Harris was a favorable. I think she was considerably less favorable to Democrats, independents, and whatever other party you want to come up with. But I believe she was a less favorable candidate. And a lot of folks sat it out, did not get involved at all. Maybe some folks couldn't stomach Trump, but did not favor Kamala Harris either. It's my opinion on it. The facts are facts, and truth is truth. No matter it hurts you, Trump. Woo, I don't quite. The facts are facts, and truth is truth. No matter it hurts you, Trump. Okay, I assume you're rooting for Trump. I don't quite get that. I do want to appreciate the choral. Thank you, Den Cal. Two questions before we move on to the next caller. Obviously, number one being is RFK a good pick, or did Trump make a bad decision? But I'm asking that question. Me and my last caller was just discussing. Why did Kamala Harris lose so badly? Why did she? I have four reasons. I'm gonna take another caller, hear his opinion, and then I'm gonna go into my spiel after the call. I got four reasons why I believe Kamala Harris lost so badly. Going to the box, I don't know what happened to my last caller. Apparently, he didn't come through, and I do appreciate that. Looking in the comments real quick before I go into my four. Kamala couldn't even manage her campaign's money. What more with ours? I don't think it's normally the candidate is not the one that manages the money, Alex. I mean, and by the way, you are correct. The management of Kamala Harris's campaign was terrible. Terrible. In fact, she's in debt after raising $1 billion. Terrible money management. Dencal, I always give a dig out to my subscribers. Good evening, Dencal.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, you see the man on the screen behind me. Is that a good pick?
No,
Why not?
because although we're in this unequivocal time where people say it doesn't like matter about like qualifications when it come down to these important jobs, you can't sit him in front of a bunch of scientists and the people that are running the FDA and all of that stuff and have them take him seriously. Like, you gotta have some buy-in when you're working with an organization that large.
I want to agree with you. However, I will submit to you one Donald Trump. Donald Trump has said a lot of things that, just off the top of his head. And apparently, when he sits down, he's getting a hell of a lot of respect from a large portion of our politicians in this country.
Yeah, but not because of his intelligence, but because they fear what he's able to do to them, to their career or their public life. Not because they sit down and be like, wow, this guy is smart and I think we should listen to him. The first thing they're thinking is, if I say something wrong or a bad thing, what is that going to mean for me in my, in my career?
So you think all of these politicians are just putting their own personal benefit over the country? The whole Republican Party?
The vast majority of them. I mean, it's a couple of them that stick up in certain situations, but yeah, I think the vast majority of them got the memo. If you say something wrong, if you go against him, that's the end of your career. I mean, it's not hard to,
No, I agree with you 100% that as a Republican, yeah, you don't if you go against Trump, or even if you criticize him too much or piss him off, yeah, it could indeed be curtains for you. But
right.
I mean,
And some of them just say, well, if I'm going to be in this situation, I might as well just try to get something out of it. Like, what's something that I want to get from this situation dealing with him? Yeah, if I'm gonna give him something that I don't believe in or whatever, I want to at least get something out of it. So a lot of people are in it as a transactional relationship, which that's the type of person Trump is. He's a transactional person. If you give him something, he'll give you something, maybe.
yeah, because I see Bahamian Greek says Trump is going to pick whoever is loyal to him. Is it just strictly loyalty as opposed to actual education and intelligence?
Hey man, I know you do the devil's advocate and stuff, but you ask some questions like
I gotta ask. Listen, I get a different audience every day. I gotta ask the question.
Yeah, we get it. Like we look, we got it, man. They showed us that, the way we feel, wanting to be honorable, wanting to be respected in our positions. None of that matters anymore. None of it matters anymore. When like your top two picks are both have investigations into trafficking females and kids and stuff. Like those are not serious people.
Yeah, but they're gonna argue that Matt Gaetz has not been convicted of anything. It's just an allegation until it act. I mean, keep in mind, Joe Biden was accused of committing crimes. Hillary Clinton was accused of committing crimes, but until you convict them, it's just an accusation.
Well, I mean, I beg to differ because if you or anybody else goes to fill out any type of application or desire to work in public service, and if even if it's an investigation, you don't get in until that is till it's adjudicated one way or the other. You don't get to say like Matt Gaetz did. He hurried up and quit.
Yeah. Well, Adam, I would normally would agree with you, but apparently it works in the police department. You can literally quit one job and go get another one somewhere else. So it does work in the police department.
And that's why it should not be used to attain one of the highest positions in American government. We shouldn't. Our leaders should not be able to do that. Especially not that.
Yeah, I'm
But
watching. I'm
it
watching.
doesn't matter because the commander in chief has already adjudicated as an offender, and they picked him. So
Wait. When you say the commander in chief's been adjudicated, I've had folks argue with me up and down that because Trump has not been sentenced yet, he's not a convicted felon. He's because he has not been sentenced. That means he is not officially a felon. How do you respond?
I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about.
Yeah, I get your point. I know I'm taking it off the topic a little bit, but is that how it works? As you mentioned Matt Gaetz, I mean, I'm just simply saying, if you haven't been sentenced, does that mean you still officially are not under the umbrella of whatever you were convicted of?
Well, I would tell them this simple thing to figure it out. Did they take away Donald Trump's firearms?
Yes.
That's all I need to say.
Good point. Good point. I mean, I had somebody literally swear up and down to me today that because he has not been sentenced yet, that means he's not a felon. But you make a good point. They had already started subjecting you to stuff that a felon is subjected to.
Right.
Yeah. So
he's got a probation officer, for heaven's sake.
Well,
talking about he's not what?
Well, people believe that. Well, let's keep in mind, this stuff is all going away, though. My guess is by the time Trump is done, he won't even officially be a felon anymore. They're going to probably, I mean, some way, somehow, that shit's going to go away. Because Letitia James and Fonnie Willis happen to both be black women, are basically saying they're going to continue pressing on. Jack Smith has already got the memo. He out of there. I don't know why these sisters think they got any chance in hell.
He's federal in their state. It's different, though.
The only thing that's going to do is make them both have to pay attention to their own safety. That's about. Neither one of them are going to do anything to Trump. Fonnie Willis or Letitia James. That shit's going nowhere.
Right, but that do not mean they should roll over, man. Look, there has to be some type of integrity somewhere, man. We can't just say, well, he won, so just nothing applies to him, because that goes against everything we said this.
I get it, but if for some reason shit hits the fan with Fonnie Willis or Letitia James, who the hell's going to have their back? If Trump can convince the right mechanisms to start going after them for going after him, just like the likes of Nikki Haley and all the rest of them folks that went after him, they pretty much on the outside looking in. Ain't nobody got Nikki Haley's back. She paid a heavy price. Her political career is over with. So if Letitia James or Fonnie Willis find themselves on the wrong end of MAGA, whether it's career-wise, whether it's safety-wise, I don't know what the hell may happen, but who's going to have their back for continuing to pursue this shit?
Those two women in particular, I believe nobody's out of bounds for MAGA, and if they go after you or whatever. But those two women have solidified their place in history, regardless of what happens with this stuff.
So was Jack Smith.
Fannie Willis just got rehired in her position in Atlanta. She just went through an election just like Trump did. Mm-hmm. The people in Atlanta said they wanted her to maintain her position, and she rewarded them and said, I will not just stop, because this state has the right to prosecute people who have committed crimes in our state. And she is exactly right. If everybody starts capitulating, now Jack Smith is only doing it because there are rules to say you can't prosecute a sitting president.
Federally. I get your point. So let me ask you this then. Letitia James got this huge $335 million judgment against Trump that's probably well in the fours now because the interest on it was like $100,000 a day or some shit like that. At the end of it, do you think she's going to collect on that?
You talking about E. Jean?
I'm talking about E. Jean Carroll too, but I'm talking about Letitia James. She won a big ass suit for the state of New York against him.
I'm not sure. I'm not.
Then
sure
why do it? That's the point. If you're not even sure the punishment is going to be that the punishment is going to be awarded, then what the hell are you doing?
Because people elected you to do a specific job. You don't just quit because the odds are against you. You don't just throw your hands up and walk away and say, what's the use? Because the case was presented in court and she won. Why would she just walk away? I can understand Jack Smith because his stuff never got to court, but her stuff has been adjudicated and she won. Why would she not continue to pursue something that she won?
Because nothing's going to come out of it, then, Cal. Nothing's going to come out of it.
We can say that, and all of the efforts throughout history, even though they weren't successful, we should say people just should have never tried.
And that's a good argument. I made that argument on somebody else earlier that said, you should just walk away from it. But I do believe that Trump's going to beat this shit. I mean, let's say, for instance, Trump decides to sue him in federal court and say that during his state case, his rights were somehow violated by the state of New York. And because the moment he gets shit to federal court, we know that everything's biased in his favor. All he has to do is get any part of that to federal court, and it's over with. That's what I'm saying. I don't think there's anything going to come out of it.
But you gotta make him go through those steps. You gotta show people. You gotta put this stuff down as precedent. You can't just say we're not going to do it because we know what the outcome is. Because you want this to be documented in history. You want to show that the federal government did exactly what you're talking about, and that they did not care about none of the evidence because the evidence is public knowledge now.
Right.
So the people that know, the people that are in these positions of power, this stuff will be documented throughout history that this is what happened. You can't just. The reason why a lot of this stuff is going on now is because they never followed through when Nixon stepped away. Because all of this stuff about presidential immunity and all of that stuff was on the table. But guess what everybody did? They dropped it when he quit.
So let me ask you before I move it on. Now that America has re-elected Trump after most of the stuff we're talking about, in fact, after all of the stuff we're talking about actually happened and America knew it happened, how do you think America will be judged historically, considering what we've done? It ain't like Trump has done anything that he's been accused of that the American voter did not know a couple Tuesdays ago. They knew all of this, and they reelected him anyway. How do you think history will judge that?
You're talking about from an American standpoint or a global?
Globally, it's fucked up. Globally, I get that.
Okay.
Hey, no, it's fucked. Our allies are like, I mean, you got newspapers out there basically saying, what the fuck, America? But I mean, in this country, just nationally, how do you think history will go?
I think, it's kind of hard to tell when you're in the middle of the storm.
True.
What the edges look like will look like at the end of a hurricane. But right now, I mean, it's not going to be looked upon. It's not going to be looked upon as a great period in our history. When we look back and we look at trying to hire Matt Gaetz, and we look back at trying to get RFK, and not that they shouldn't have positions in the government, but I'm talking about the highest level.
Right.
It's not going to look good. It's not going to look like people are going to look back and be like, yeah, it's great that we had all of these people who don't know what the fuck they doing in these positions. It's not going to turn out well. I don't care if they cool with somebody wanting to get rid of the Department of Education, and then you put Nancy DeVos in there and she destroys the education system. They're not going to.
But keep in mind, you're making those statements And a lot of folks are making those statements because they expect the Trump administration to be a chaotic failure. What if it turns out to actually be okay? That he puts people in there that have no that the appearance suggests they have no clue what they're doing, but it actually ends up being a fairly successful administration.
Well, look, I've been in charge of certain things. When I was in the military, I was in charge of like maintaining the entire engineering plant in a in a warship, on the Great Seas. And I understand that when you have an intricate operation going on, you literally need the best and the brightest. Because when things break down, if you don't have the proper people in place, there's no amount of wish and good luck, and it's not going to happen. When you get rid, when he's talking about, they're drawing up an executive order to get rid of all of the top generals and admirals in the whole military.
That is
not going to turn out well.
That is concerning, but I mean, we got to see what happens. All right, then, Cal. Look, I don't have a devil's advocate for that. Getting rid of all of the top generals and things is concerning. I mean, because it could cause a lot of division in the military because people highly respect those folks. They've climbed through the ranks, so we'll have to see. But
yeah, and the guy he wants to be what the secretary? No, the guy. What's his name? The Fox News guy.
I know you're talking about. I can't think of his name right now.
Yeah, he's walking around with these like white supremacy tattoos and shit all on his arms and stuff. And we like, are we really doing this? Is that what we're really doing?
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Trump is telling them, and Trump is telling. He told his team not to recommend the security clearance.
Yeah. FBI. He did that with Jared Kushner back in his first term. Jared Kushner, they didn't want to give him clearance either, and he told them he found a way to make them let him in. He's talking
about all of his picks now.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate it, then, Cal.
All right, we'll see.
Yeah, no kidding. And I see in the comments, OG Drew says DEI TV generals gotta go. So you're suggesting that Fox News general was a DEI implant? All right, that's an interesting way of looking at it. I do want to respond to a couple super chats, and I'm going to drop on you my opinion of why Kamala Harris, not only did she lose, but I'm, Monday morning quarterbacking suggesting that maybe she had no chance of winning to begin with. Will G, threats exclusively in blue districts in swing states and disenfranchisement votes, and some that were really turned off by Harris with letting MAGA define her. And MAGA did a really good job of defining Kamala Harris. There's no MAGA, Trump. Let's say Trump. I mean, obviously, Trump is the leader of MAGA, but Trump does a really good job defining his adversaries. He is really good at that. Those nicknames and shit, that stuff sticks. Does a lot of damage. I mean, I don't know how long people are going to be calling Nikki Haley bird brain or Joe Biden sleepy, but that stuff does work well. LRD Mobile RV, thank you for the super chat, says, yo, OG, check out my case. I meant to do that. Oh, I forgot. Check out my case. Dwells into the real issues at hand for all people. Ohio Supreme Court active now. Great content pool docket now. Well, I can't do it while I'm on the show, but I certainly meant to do that. I even wrote it down last time. Because this individual said he has an active case in Ohio. And I did want to check that out. So I'll write it on my notes again. Hopefully this time I can remember. I'm having this live early because I do want to see the Tyson fight. That's why anybody wondering, why the hell are you on now? How many of you folks, I'm assuming most of my audience is male. A lot of you folks are going to watch it. Who do you think is going to win? My money's on Tyson. Anyway, going back to the topic of the show, I have $107.5 million competitive. I have $107.5 million competition active that shows how the people can effectively do these things on their own, especially nowadays. Now, I'm baffled as to what you're talking about there. $107.5 million competition active that shows how people can effectively do what things, especially on their own. I don't quite get what you're saying. I don't understand that. And Will G says, we've already seen that we've already seen the what if movie. It never happened. Well, I'm going to submit to you in regards to Trump's first administration, just like now, people were predicting it to be an utter failure. And if you listen to the American voting population, they don't think that Trump 2016 to 2020 was really that bad. Yeah, it was a high turnover rate, but economically, the things they care about, border security, people tend to think it was not that bad of a first presidency, which is why he's around again. So, is it possible that the liberals suggesting that it's going to be a disaster the second go round may end up being wrong like they were in the first? I'm hitting the state for violating my rights for 107.5 million. That's what this case is about. Take a peek on the Ohio Supreme Court docket 24-1289. Ohio docket. I do have it written down. I do want to see your case, and I will talk about that. I do want to check it out. I do want to see what you got going on there. 175 million for violating your. I'd be curious to know what rights are violated too. Okay, in the comments, real quick, Furback had asked earlier when I was talking about why would Letitia James continue going after Trump, and me and my last guest was sparring back and forth. He stated, "Well, so what is Trump, a dictator now?" No, Trump is not a dictator in my humble opinion, but I will say this: if you were going, you ever go out like Halloween, I want to be a pimp, and you got all of this, whatever. You get the fur coat, the shoes are in the box. This is everything you need to be a pimp for Halloween. Trump has everything in a box to be a dictator. That doesn't mean he is one, but my point is, if he wants to be one, most of the pieces are in place. I'll leave it at that. Most of the pieces, if he wanted to become a dictator of sorts, a large portion of the pieces are in place. I don't know how much of the Supreme Court he's going to control once this is done, but he already controls enough of it, in my humble opinion, that he can feel fairly confident that the Supreme Court's not going to rule against him. The Senate is fairly on his side, and most of them probably are going to be fairly loyal. Congress is still close, but he does have most of the pieces if he wanted to do some dictator type shit. We have to trust and believe that he won't do it. But he's talking about, structuring, as my last caller pointed to, generals and things like that. So he's tearing the military apart to put in more loyalists there. Yeah, he has the pieces in place that if he wanted to do that, he could probably. And by the way, I don't know what relationship Trump has with the likes of Putin or the leader of Hungary or Kim Jong-un, but if you wanted to be a dictator, I'm just going to say that. Who knows what Trump's trying to do? But if you wanted to be a dictator, these are kind of the people you would talk to, is it not? Particularly Putin, because Putin went from a government where the people were electing their leaders to they're kind of not doing it anymore. Putin is probably one of the more recent dictators. He would be somebody you'd want to talk to and ask, how you do this shit? What steps do you take? If Trump wanted to do that. It's going on since September. You said that before. Check it out right now. I can't check it out right now. I'm on a live. I swear to God, it'll change my life. You're telling me your case of how they are hurting now that's in Ohio. Your case is not federal, Mobile. So even if you win in Ohio, that's not to say you would win in Alabama or Illinois somewhere. Your case is not federal. So I don't know if it'll change my life, so to speak, because I don't live in Ohio. Snowden's been saying turnkey tyranny since before. Yes, Snowden paid a heavy price for trying to do that too. All right, let me go back to the box. I do want to talk about Kamala Harris, but I do want to also make sure I don't keep my callers holding on for too damn long. Tim, this is always interesting. Timoteo, welcome back to the program. What's up?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Kamala Harris, why the hell did she lose?
Okay, I was hoping you were going to ask me about RFK.
Let's go with. Now, I know you're a fan of RFK. Let's go with that then. Now, in regards,
I wrote notes from the last caller, bro. Because
okay,
I felt like it was so off base, so I just wanted to kind of touch base on a couple of them.
all right.
He had said about how you'd want somebody with some experience. I can tell you this: if you haven't looked at RFK Jr.'s record, you need to. And he was a Democrat, if I'm not, if I'm remembering
I
correct.
believe part of RFK's record is that because Mike Pence tweeted out today that he would be the worst choice in terms of he was in favor of late term abortions. RFK is
Well,
pro-choice.
hang on. Mike Pence is something completely different, in my opinion. He's a deep stater, so I don't like hearing about him or
Does it
anything.
mean if you're a deep stater, does that mean you're wrong 100% of the time?
Oh yeah, you have a different agenda.
Wait a minute. If you are a deep stater and you think that Trump is a white guy, that means you're wrong because you're a deep stater?
What?
I'm just simply
Is that a real
saying,
question?
why would you suggest that deep staters are wrong 100% of the time? There's nothing they can say that might be accurate.
There's nothing. In my mind, in my opinion, again, this is just my opinion for entertainment purposes only. Um, in my opinion, their intention is not for the people.
Okay. But that don't mean everything they say is wrong, which is what you
Of course, I mean, if it's not for us, it's not for us, right? So it's for them.
Okay, maybe now then that means that Trump made a really bad idea. I mean, better yet, a really bad pick if he picked the deep
Wait,
state, which is what you're saying. You're saying that Trump's first
no.
term, he picked people from the deep state.
Yes, exactly. And he had no choice because that's what he was surrounded by. And he knew no better because he wasn't a politician. But you got to understand something. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He's responsible for making it so that Monsanto had to pay, or I shouldn't have said that name probably, but so they had to pay out all they had to pay out because he sued the hell out of them. It's because of him that they had to remove that chemical from Roundup.
Wait, but let
And
me ask you something. Just in regards to this whole thing, are you saying that RFK is not pro-choice?
I believe he's probably leave it up to the states. It's exactly like Trump. And there's nothing that can change now as far as that goes. I don't know why everybody's so mad. The Supreme Court ruled on it. It's done. That's it.
No,
They're not going to
I
be able
get
to bring
that.
it
I
up
get
before
that
the
part,
Supreme
but
Court again.
I
They're
get
not
that
going to
part.
be able
But
to bring it
you
up
said
again.
that Mike Pence was what Mike Pence said is wrong, and I'm saying that even if the Supreme Court ruled it, that doesn't mean what Mike Pence said is wrong, though.
No, I think what he said is wrong for sure.
Okay.
Um, Now, he was talking about the dictatorship thing
Okay.
and about, you know, there's a lot of different things I keep hearing come up that to me is just fast backwards because if you look at it from my perspective, it seems to me like everything they say or accuse Trump of going to be and this and that, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. It's exactly what they've been doing. And this is the kind of, it's a narcissistic type thing that I keep seeing. And, dictatorship. Why is it that Kamala was selected? That's a dictatorship.
Well,
Why is it that when she lost, immediately they tried to ask Biden to step down and put her in? Because it's a dictatorship.
well, wait a minute.
It's
Wait, hold on. You said after she lost, they tried to ask Biden to step. There are people out there that may ask to reinstate slavery. That don't mean it. That don't mean the Republican Party wanted to do it.
I get it, but what does that represent? Is all I'm saying.
It represents an idiot. I mean, there are idiots on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't an idiot when they defended him and said he was capable.
What I'm saying is you're blaming the Democratic Party because somebody wanted wanted Biden to step down and let Kamala Harris be appointed for the remainder of Biden's term. That's not something coming from the leadership in the party. That's some idiots out there. You're trying to pin that on the whole party.
I'm just assuming it must have been big enough to get on the news, right?
Could have been the deep state.
Could have been.
I mean,
right.
what Mike Pence said is big enough to be on the news, and you don't agree with that?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right. It could be, but
All right, then.
from my like I said, it's just my perspective again.
All right.
But no, RFK Jr. has a really good track record with these guys. He's beat them in court multiple times, and like I said before, I don't know why you're not out here talking about it or bringing it up on your live, Tim. Policies for the people. Look it up. They've created 5 websites for you to go and offer your ideas for policy in the new cabinet or administration where you can actually get your idea selected and get public notoriety for it, and it will get put into place.
I like
You've
it. I
never
like the
once.
transparency of that. I
It's called
wanna play.
policies for the people.
The more
I want to play something here. This is my first time hearing this as well is likely to be you. This is RFK and this is in reference to what we're talking about. I want to get your opinion on this. This is RFK himself.
Hey, everybody. As you know, abortion has become a notoriously divisive issue in America. And many of my critics have painted me as some kind of extremist, but actually, I support the emerging consensus in this country is that abortion should be legal up until a certain number of weeks and restricted thereafter. I say this is a consensus because even in the reddest of red states, voters have consistently rejected total abortion bans. And on the other hand, almost no one supports the gruesome late-term abortions except to save the life of the mother. I've been a medical freedom advocate for my entire career, and I fought as hard as anybody in our country for bodily autonomy. I trust a woman's maternal instincts. I used to think that the only time a woman would abort in the third trimester is if a mother's life was at stake, or maybe the baby had some fatal condition. Perhaps it would survive only a few hours or a couple of agonizing days after birth. I don't think a bureaucrat or a judge is better equipped than the baby's own mother to decide what to do in those circumstances. But more recently, I've learned that my assumptions were wrong. Sometimes women abort healthy, viable, late-term fetuses. These cases of purely elective late-term abortions are very upsetting. Once the baby is viable outside the womb, it should have rights and it deserves society's protection. I learned about these because I was willing to listen to my family.
So you hear him saying he is actually okay up to the point of viability. Now,
I agree
once
with
it's
that.
so what Mike Pence said is actually true.
What's that?
That he is pro-choice up to a certain point. He said up to the point where the baby can survive
Right.
outside the womb. So probably to
Right.
at least about 5 months, he's actually in favor of a woman. He even clearly said a woman should make the decision and not a bureaucrat. So how
And
is
I absolutely agree with that. And he's right. And if you watch to the end of that video, he says that they're going to leave it up to the states.
so what part of what Mike Pence said is wrong then? He is pro-choice.
Why are we? I don't understand what
I
is wrong.
told
What is the
you
question?
Mike Pence does not favor this guy because this guy is pro-choice, and you said Mike Pence is part of the deep state, and you didn't. He is pro-choice. You're hearing him on screen. He's clearly
And
pro-choice.
I apologize. And if that's where you went with that, I wasn't understanding
Okay,
it that way. I took you the wrong way.
all right.
But yeah, no. What Mike Pence is saying, he's going to say anything bad against him because that's what he has to do now.
But that ain't bad. That's true. The guy is pro-choice.
And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay,
What's wrong with that?
all right.
Trump is not pro-life. He says he's pro-life. Yes, that's his choice. But he's not enforcing pro-life agendas in the federal.
Well, this guy goes beyond states' rights. He said, "I believe it should be up to the mom and not some bureaucrat." That's going to apply in any state. I mean, what are you saying?
People need to let it go because it's out of the. It's already been heard by the Supreme Court. That's the top court in the land. It can't go anywhere else. It is going to
Yeah,
be
it can.
decided by
Yeah,
the
it can.
states.
It can go somewhere else. I mean,
It
obviously,
can't.
it can be
Supreme
codified
Court
in the future.
will
I mean,
the Supreme Court will deny hearing it again because it's not worth them spending another. Look, if they only hear 12 to 15 cases a year. I mean, that's not.
you get
wrong.
well. I'm not saying the Supreme Court. I'm saying that in the future it could be codified, or if those states actually give women the right to vote on it. I think there's only one state so far. There's only one state that gave the citizens in that state the right to a vote on abortion, and they still voted to keep it banned, and that is Florida. Because in Florida, they required a 60% majority for it to be actually legalized, and they got a 54% vote. So 54% of voters in Florida voted to legalize abortion, but they required 60%. So right now in Florida, although the majority by 54% want women to have access, they actually went with what the minority wants. 46% want
Now,
it banned.
now, right there, you would see that court. You would see that go to the Supreme Court. Then they would rule on that, and they would follow their previous ruling, which means that they would leave it up to the vote of the state.
Right.
Now, if the vote of the state says that in their constitution, they'll hold them to that.
Well, the
And you
point
don't
the
have to
point I'm
worry,
making is
it'll
this.
happen.
Yeah, the point I'm making is this, Tim. Everybody says it's up to the states. I'm fine with the state right point. The point I'm making is this though. Every state that has a limitation or a ban on abortion, with the exception of Florida, did so without letting the people in that state have any say so at all on it. So people are going, well, we're giving it to the states. Yeah, you're giving it to the states, but they're acting like state dictators. The women and the men in those states didn't have any say so. They just did it to them. Every state that has let the people vote, they voted in favor of giving people access to it. So,
And Tim, that's the beauty of being a member of the Union of the Many States. That's the beauty of having a constitution that holds you accountable to that constitution. So they will hold them to that constitution. Now, the Supreme Court is the supreme.
yeah, but you're holding people to
Now, the
you're hold
constitution.
on. Every state that has a ban or a limitation on abortion did so by way of utilizing a law that was put in place before women or even minorities in that state had a right to vote at all. Every single state, with the exception of Florida, I just explained, every other state that has a limitation or ban on abortion did so by using laws that were passed at a time when women and a large amount of the voting populace had no input, couldn't legally vote at all. Does that sound like states' rights? Is that something we want to champion?
No, no. But here's the thing. I also believe that it, as well as it doesn't sound like states' rights, I get it. Our people are very resilient, and I think our people have shown, especially in this election, that we do still have the power. And
I
because
don't
of that,
see it. I
it will
don't.
go. Hang on, they'll bring it back up, and they'll bring it back up, and they'll bring it back up until that state gets what they want. And
Yeah,
if it's
and
not getting
that's
it,
a good
they'll
point that they got to keep bringing it up until they get what they want,
no, that's
which shows by based on what you said, they'll bring it up and they'll keep bringing it up until they get what they want. That shows that the states are not on the side of the people, that they got to
no,
fight this damn hard just to get it up for a vote.
no. That shows that in a republic, it's not mob rule.
No,
In a
it's dick. What do you mean it's not mob rule? If you're fighting to prevent the people from even voting on it, that sounds like it's government rule. That sounds like it is a few people in government that is trying to implement on the people what they believe is right.
Right, I get that. But what I'm saying is that that's a group of people who need the right leadership to be able to assert their rights correctly.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
All right.
Some people don't, there's people out there fighting for things, but don't know which way to fight, don't know which way to go. When you look at Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he has been doing this since he was a baby, practically, and he lost his dad for this country. So, in my mind, if you look at that guy, you're looking at very possibly your next president. Very
What?
possibly your next
What?
Yes, very possibly.
What?
Very possibly.
Hell no. RFK? Hell no. I got to move it on. I can talk to you for a bunch on this, but I got other people waiting. But no, that ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen.
Check out policies for the people. Let your voice be heard. Get in there and put your suggestions in. Hey, it's the first time in history we get the chance to do it.
I think you're
Take
crazy.
advantage of what they're giving us.
I think you're crazy. But I always enjoy talking
Policies
to
for the
you.
people. Look it up.
Good luck with that. Gotta go. All right, RFK. Maybe RFK is the next president. What say you folks? I think that is crazy, but I will happily admit I have been wrong before. Certainly with this last election. Damn it, I was really wrong. But RFK, no. Uh, no, I can come up with a host of reasons, but I'm gonna say no way in hell. I want to respond to a couple super chats before I go to the next caller. By the way, I'm going to ask that you folks tap the screen. I have not asked that at all. And of course, that hasn't happened. Tap the screen, get the likes up. You know how the program is ran. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. We are MAGA friendly, always will be, always have been from day one. Liberals are welcome on the program as well. We don't block, ban, or censor any damn body. You can be critical of anyone in the comment section, up to and including the host. That is how free speech works. We go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with Q. Everybody gets to speak. Mobile RV says, I'm hitting the state for violating my rights on 100. Oh, yeah, I see your case. I'm going to have to look it up, but I can't do it right now. What else did I miss in here? I did want to respond to a super chat. It says, a state citizen is equal to the what? Here's the case he's suggesting. And a state citizen is equal to the King of England prior to 1775. My rights are inalienable. Bryant, like Kobe, not yeah, like Kobe Bryant, no, Bryant with a T. Yeah, Kobe Bryant. Yeah, Bryant versus Akron Metro Park District. I don't know, Mobile. You're trying to use 1775 legislation going back to the King of England. I mean, we didn't become a country until 1776, so you're literally going back before America was a country. You're using that in your case. Now I really want to follow it. I don't think you're going to win that with that. I don't know. Will G says he has no guardrails for the things he held back doing before, and that is true. I do believe that Trump felt that there were a lot of folks in his first administration that prevented him from giving us the America he wanted to. And what Will is saying is that there's no guardrails from him doing that now. But I will say this, a lot of MAGA is going to favor that because a lot of folks believe they never gave Trump a chance from day one. And when they say they didn't give Trump a chance from day one, they're not just talking about liberals. They're talking about some folks in his administration. So now he has people in his administration that are going to give him a chance. So you may see things like the wall getting built or some of the things that folks may perceive as good accomplishments from Trump. Good accomplishments. So it remains to be seen. Now I know Trump is promising to do a lot of things that has got some of us wigged out. Like for instance, myself, I don't want police to have immunity from prosecution. I see it in a lot of my lives. That is something Trump promised to do. I believe he could be a great president, but it has to be minus some of the things he said that is flipping people out. I don't know if he said some shit just to pander to folks to get votes and he didn't mean it. But if you take a politician at their word, then there is things Trump has said that is scary to some people. I'm just going to say it like that. Franklin McRae, he's putting people in positions he can control. Very similar to what Will G said, and as I said before, that is true. I think who did he put in there that's going to be kind of an overseer of everybody else? I think he put it, was that the guy from Fox? No, not the guy from Fox, was it? I mean, he really is structuring it in a way that both Will G and who was that Will G and Franklin is saying he is structuring it that way that there will be very little resistance. That's why I said earlier, I'm not saying the guy's going to be a dictator, but he does have most of the pieces to the puzzle if he wanted to be one. You know, if there was a how to be a dictator kit, he has most of the stuff you need in the box. It's just a matter of whether he's going to use his powers for good or not. Trump's team are already skipping background checks. And that would be part of it. That would be part of it. You know, I want to be able to appoint people. I don't need to have Congress or Senate, decide on it. I want to be able to do this stuff unilaterally. Essentially saying, as president, I want more powers than the founding fathers originally intended. That's when I say things in the box for how to be a dictator kit. Dictators don't really operate in governments that have a checks and balances system. It's kind of their where it goes. I'm not saying Trump is quite there yet, but I'm saying that he is on course for that to be the case if he wanted it to. Did he just call women a mob? I don't remember that one, Will. Damn, I wish I had seen that super chat. The only piece he can't have is the Constitution and rights. There is no way he can become a dictator. That ends the story. I don't buy that time only. So I don't buy that. I don't buy that there is absolutely no way in hell Trump can become a dictator. I do not buy that. I'm not saying he will, but I absolutely disagree that there's no way he can become one. I don't buy that. I think there are some folks out there that are so loyal They gonna ride with him no matter what. I think there are folks out there like the Vivek Ramaswamis that want to just ride on his coattails and enjoy the benefits of it. Tim Scott, folks like that would, and he has a lot of those folks working for him. And just simply put, he's in control of all three branches. You get enough of those kind of people while you are in control of all three branches. Why would you say it can't happen? It absolutely could happen. Going back to the bots, MAGA reacts. Good evening, welcome to the program. I still haven't gotten around to why I want to point out the 4 reasons why Kamala Harris lost, but I'll give it to MAGA. MAGA reacts. Good evening.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much at
I
all.
sent you a long list of why she lost. Did you ever read it?
Not yet. I get so much shit, man. I promised I promised Mobile I'm going to check out his case. I get so much shit coming. Every day my box is full, and I try to go through it, and I get all of these TikTok shop shit. Like, would you do a collab on this? Would you review our product? I take a few of them, the ones that I might have some use for, but I get a lot of shit. I don't want to sound like I'm boasting about it, but people send me a lot of stuff. And I try to get around to some of it, but I do still have a day job. You factor in all that, man, and it is what it is. But
I completely understand.
Yeah, but I do want to. I'm not downplaying the idea that I do want to check out what you sent me. It just might take a few days for me to get around to it. So what brought you on today?
I mean, to start, the last guy was kind of right about RFK. Mostly, like, if they would have had a primary this year for Democrats, I'm pretty sure he would have been the nominee or like one of the finalists.
Who?
He started out RFK when he started out running for president as a Democrat, and he had 15%, which was better than almost everybody on the right, other than Trump and DeSantis. Like.
You think RFK would have been a nominee if he had if the Democrats had a vote instead of just appointing Kamala Harris? You think RFK would have been a Democratic nominee?
If they would have had it from the beginning, like.
Then what the hell does that? If what you're saying is true, then what the hell does that say about Trump appointing him? You basically saying that Trump has appointed a man to his administration that would have likely led the Democratic Party. This is what we talk about bad appointments. Sounds like RFK is a bad appointment.
No, not really. I mean, Harris was bragging about having Republicans on her thing.
Not to that level. You're saying that RFK could have been the DNC head, and now he's on Trump's administration.
Yeah, he would have been running for president as a Democrat. He's a freaking Kennedy. Do you guys not remember JFK?
So in other words, Trump appointed a Democrat. A fairly left-wing Democrat. I don't agree with
Trump
that.
himself was a Democrat, so he would be a hypocrite not to, win over Democrats and have them run on his side.
I don't know if I totally agree with it. So what do you think? Do you think RFK was a good appointment?
I think so. I mean, he's been fighting for this stuff all his life. He's been a lawyer for the EPA and for health his entire life, so he's very knowledgeable.
Very knowledgeable.
Common sense.
Common sense. Now, he stated that AIDS may not be caused by HIV. Where did he get that from? That's knowledgeable and common sense to you?
I don't know. And I have other things I want to talk about.
Okay,
so
wait a minute. Because this guy said that gender identity in kids may have something to do with the water they're drinking. This guy says some pretty wild shit, man. What else do you got?
Next on the list. You know how they're always saying that Harris has to be perfect while Trump gets away with all this stuff?
Yes.
That's more their fault. I mean, they're painting Trump to be mustache man, and they're saying Harris is the best candidate, the perfect candidate. So it's not our fault that happened. It's their fault. They're saying she's perfect and he's garbage. And so she has to, she obviously wasn't perfect. And he's obviously not mustache man, and he's better than garbage. So they kind of set themselves up for that, and it hurt them too.
I don't disagree with that. I do think it's the Democrats' fault why they lost. But in regards to Trump obviously not being mustache man, yeah, Kamala Harris is obviously not a communist. Obama was obviously not a socialist. Hillary Clinton is obviously not drinking the blood of babies. This is what happens. People say awful shit about you when you run.
You know what else I found funny? That both her and Hillary, like Hillary ran in '08 and Obama overpowered her. And then she lost in 2016. And in 2016, even Hillary was pushed through. In 2016, there should have been, what's his name? Bernie. And they kind of crippled Bernie and used their super candidates or super whatever to get Hillary through.
Yeah, I think it was Bill Maher on HBO that said something similar to what you're saying, is that the Democrats do try to have like a who's next in line type deal. And, it was supposed to be Hillary Clinton in 2016. As you're talking about, they tried to push Hillary Clinton through, and the voters said, no, we want Obama. And you're right, they did kind of say, no, we want Bernie Sanders. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that the Democrats are putting in people or they were attempted to put in people that the people may not always want. Because you are right, I believe there were probably a large amount of Democrats that would have preferred Bernie Sanders in that year over Hillary Clinton. Many believe that if it was Bernie Sanders versus Trump in 2016, Bernie Sanders would have beat him.
Actually, I think it should have been Biden in 2016.
Biden?
If he ran in 2016, yeah, because he was the VP of Obama. It really was his turn to go next. If you would have gone into 2016, his brain was working much better 4 years earlier.
But that's not who the people wanted, though. See, that's what I'm saying. The Democrats are going with whose turn it is. But what I'm saying is the people don't want to go by that. The people want to decide. The people decided they wanted Bernie. They wanted Barack Obama. It wasn't Barack Obama's turn. The people decided we're going to put him up anyway.
No, but before we knew who Bernie was, that was like the middle of the primaries. At the beginning of the primaries, everybody wanted Biden. Biden would have used.
I've never seen that. I've never seen that.
I mean, that's the problem. People are trying to use hindsight. I remember it back then, how I felt about things back then. And back then, in 2016, I saw Biden as a much better candidate than Hillary. And if he would have he wasn't in the primary, so people didn't get to choose him. So we don't know. But if he would have been in the primary, everybody was wondering why he wasn't even in the primaries. If he would have been in the primaries 2016, he would have won. He would have gotten through both his candidates, both his terms without his brain just started to fail these last 4 years. So this would have been the end of his second, not the end of his first. So he would have probably won re-election. Things would have.
I don't know about that, because
would have turned a lot different if he would have been in that primary.
Maybe. I think things would have turned out a lot different if Hillary Clinton had won. That's probably the biggest. If the Bernie bros weren't so pissed off at Hillary Clinton being propelled to the top and they voted for Hillary Clinton instead of sitting it out or even voting for Trump, and Trump never won that first election, I think the whole world would be different from that standpoint, in my opinion.
Yeah, that too. But
Yeah.
she's just a bad candidate. Hillary and Harris, way before she became the head of the nominee, she was always considered bad. I mean, Clinton had some nostalgia from Bill Clinton, but Harris didn't have that. Harris was always talking crap about her as VP, and
I think Hillary Clinton was a much better candidate than Kamala Harris. In fact, a lot of the stuff you're talking about Bernie, not Bernie. I absolutely would trust Hillary Clinton to defend this nation. I think she damn near might be hawkish, if anything. But I would absolutely trust Hillary Clinton to defend this nation. I don't lost my YouTube screen. Are you there? Oh, I see what happened. My damn Wi-Fi went down. Hang on a second. Only one I got on mobile is. Hang on a second, folks. Can you hear me?
hey,
Yeah, my Wi-Fi.
hear you now.
Yeah, hang on a second. My Wi-Fi went down, so all of my platforms is screwed up here. So I'm trying to switch them over to mobile, and unfortunately for my tablet, I don't think I can do that. Shit. Okay, let me see if I can. God damn, I hate when this happens. The tablet won't let me do it. Yeah, I absolutely. What I was saying though is I absolutely believe Hillary Clinton could defend this nation. I think she was a decent candidate, but at the time, people were really trashing her.
Well, Hillary was a good candidate, but she had a lot of baggage from being from Bill Clinton and from being Secretary of State. Harris didn't have the baggage, but she was a bad candidate. Harris didn't have any baggage because she didn't do anything.
Yeah, and that's the problem with Harris. Not only did she wasn't really known for doing anything. I will also say, with only 107 days to run, that's unprecedented. Nobody has ever tried to run for president with that little bit of time. And I listed 4 reasons why I think she lost, and that is number 2. 107 days. Talking about a handicap. You're going up against a dude that we've all known who Trump is most of our lives. He's been a celebrity since the late 70s, but then he's also been a politician for almost a decade now. You got 107 days to go up against that. That right there puts her at a huge disadvantage.
Like, I think the opposite. She had a huge boost at the beginning. People were excited.
107 days? 107 days.
When she first came in, Trump was rattled. He didn't know what to do. She was like, she had all the momentum behind it. We went from thinking Trump was unstoppable after the attempt on his to unalive him to being like, oh crap. Like, the media boosted her so good, but if it was shorter, she would have had a much better chance because there was enough time.
Yeah, but that's not her. That's not her. That is the media with a honeymoon period. That's a hatred of Trump. And here's somebody finally that might be okay, and they're getting this until she started interviewing and shit, and people realize, well, she ain't all that great. What you're talking about, if it was a shorter time, it ain't because of her. She's riding a wave of whatever the media gives her, and the fact that she's a new candidate. That ain't that. Then she's not winning. They're giving it to her.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
She would have rode that wave to a possible win. But instead, like you said, we realized how bad she was over time. Time is, if there was less time, most of us probably wouldn't have realized how bad she was. We would have thought she was awesome, and it would have been. So, but either way, it's very possible that she was doomed from the beginning because
I believe so.
Up.
I believe she was doomed from the beginning.
There's a huge possibility that she had no chance, but she made so many mistakes and did so many things wrong, and she was just so bad that even if she did everything perfect, like, there's a possibility, like, she didn't do anything perfect. Like, if she was perfect, I would say, she had. Sorry.
There's no such thing as a perfect candidate. I mean, you don't think Trump is perfect, do you?
No, obviously not. But again, what I'm trying to say is, like, even without the time issue, she took like 30 days to start doing interviews. Yeah. She just wasn't good. Like, I
mean, shit, you got
time, she was just bad.
Yeah, but MAGA, you still 107 days. She took 30 days. I mean, normally, look, Trump came down and announced he was running for re-election in like June of 2023. If he waited 30 days to do an interview, he had so much time it wouldn't matter. The fact she only had 107 days, them 30 days seemed like an eon because she had such a short time.
If it was Obama with 107 days, do you think he would have won?
Because we know who he is. You're talking about somebody we don't know who the hell they are.
Obama, that we don't know who he is, but he talks so smooth.
I don't think so.
The more we get to know him, the more we like him.
I don't know. I'm not confident in that.
The more we got to know him, the more we liked him. That wasn't true for Harris.
Yeah, but I'm not confident that Obama back when we didn't. When you talk, well, we know her too now. But you're talking about somebody we don't know that's a great smooth talker. I'm not sure about it. I'm not sure because, especially, here's another thing. Kamala Harris, not only does she need to be a smooth talker and handle interviews very well, she's also got to account for the Biden's economy, the Biden's border, and why she was constantly saying Biden was fit and healthy. All of that's in there too. You got 107 days to fix all of that shit. That's not going to happen.
That's another thing. Trump ran away from Bush and Cheney and all of them. He ran away from the whole Republican Party. And, she's more of the same. And people were unhappy with the party as a whole. Like, I give you a list of why Democrats lost and why Harris specifically lost. And, so maybe she would have lost no matter what. But maybe a better candidate, someone on Obama's level, might have won because Trump is so bad. The only other thing I want to talk about is some guy is saying that we're no longer honorable and honor is out the window and all that stuff's out the window. It's not that we're no longer honorable. It's like the honor was fake. Like if she was truly honorable and respectful, it would have have gave her points, but
I can't.
all the honor he's talking about was one. It's his opinion. It's not. People on the right probably think the opposite.
You're right. That's exactly what they think, because under Biden, Trump was constantly saying the same thing: is that our allies don't fear us and we're no longer honorable. He was saying the same thing.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
again, that's half of it is his opinion. The other half is these people were just faking it before.
Well,
but I'm talking not more foreign policy. I'm talking about more local, about how courteous they were to each other, and stuff like that. You know.
I can tell you right off the bat, like my last caller, like Dencal said earlier on the program, there's a lot of faking it going on the right as well. Some of them folks are either trying to ride Trump's coattails simply because they can get riches and fame out of it. Others are frightened of losing their political careers. All of that cordialness that they're showing towards Trump on the right, all of that ain't genuine or authentic either. Some of them folks are frightened that if they, like Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham, I don't think those folks are real keen on Trump. They just want to ride the coattails because they know if they go against him, their careers are over with.
But that's not true.
Oh, come on.
A lot of people don't agree with Trump, and their careers are fine. These people
Who?
failed because they're just horrible. Like
Who?
Cheney was garbage. Cheney had Cheney's name around her neck.
Cheney, wait. Cheney voted with Trump like 96% of the time. What do you mean she don't agree with him? She voted the same way he did 96% of the time. What do you want, 100%?
No, that doesn't matter. Like, that's just voting for bills. We're talking about how, like, she went up and said all these bad, like, she took their side when it came to a bunch of stuff. I mean, look.
Like what? What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
I mean, mostly January 6th, but in general, like,
Cheney didn't. No.
That's just how we felt.
No, I think the way you felt was wrong. Cheney didn't say nothing negative about Trump until January 6th. Before that, she was the MAGA loved Cheney. Cheney was a respected Republican, et cetera, et cetera.
I had no idea who she was. I didn't even know Dick Cheney had a daughter. She didn't pop up on our radar until she went up against January 6th.
Exactly. And that's my point. That the minute you criticize Trump, your career is in jeopardy.
I don't think Trump cares. I mean, look at all the people that he hired. He got Tulsi and RFK. They criticized Trump.
You don't
plenty,
think?
And
what?
He doesn't care about that stuff.
Trump
He doesn't care about like.
Well, wait, hold on. The only reason RFK was brought in is because, like as you pointed out, he could have been the DNC head. He brought RFK in because RFK brought a bunch of voters with him. Tulsi Gabbard was trashing the Republican Party for about a year or two before this came up. She hasn't been a Democratic Party. She hasn't been a Democrat for years.
No, she was a Democrat up until this election.
She
gave up being a Democrat like the beginning of this election. It hasn't been years. She was running for president for the Democrats 4 years ago.
Yeah, and once she lost, she immediately defected, which in my opinion, is really good. She didn't be. In my opinion, if you can leave, if you're running for president of one party and you don't win and you join the other party, in my opinion, the party you left dodged the bullet. If you can switch like that, you never work for that party.
It took her 3.5 years to defect.
It did not. She was already on Fox News trashing the Democratic Party soon after she ran for president. It wasn't that long.
Now, Tulsi was always one of those people, like, what's his name, Buttigieg, that always jumped on Fox News because she doesn't care. Like, she could do that. But
she was on Fox News trashing the Democrats.
She says, I'm becoming independent was at least a year ago. It wasn't right after the election.
Okay,
maybe when she said she was a Republican was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, she just changed her.
Win is when she says I'm a Republican.
Yeah, she didn't say she was a Republican, but you were all over Fox News trashing the Democrats. You're just as good as one. I mean, just like if you had an independent constantly trashing Trump, you guys would be calling him a liberal. I mean, you're calling Liz Cheney a liberal. I mean, so she was just as good as one.
My point is, we don't mind it as long as you're being fair. Like, if your criticism is fair and you're like, oh, you know what, I think the same, because we all have criticism of our own side. And if you agree with her criticism and she's being fair, it's cool. But Cheney was she was just wrong.
Okay.
Like,
I gotta move on. I gotta move on as usual. But just to get clarity, you're saying
thing.
real quick.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Now, so you're saying that you're okay with criticism of Trump as long as it's fair.
Yes, and I think he feels the same.
Right.
He's yeah.
Give me your last point. I gotta move it on. Give me your last point.
And my last point is Trump works hard. He did more events in like 1 week than Biden and Harris did in a whole month. He did like 2-3 rallies a day, 1 or 2 interviews a day, bunch of press conferences, a bunch of everything. I mean, Trump was everywhere because he worked hard. He earned that shit.
Fair enough.
It wasn't like he was hiding in a basement or hiding in whatever in the White House. He was, if you look at all the shit that he did on a regular day versus all the meet and greets, all the shit versus Biden and Harris, I really think it's 4 times as much. He did more in a week than they did in a whole month.
No argument there. He definitely works hard. I may not favor everything he does, but he certainly does get out there and talk to the people quite frequently. Appreciate it. MAGA Reacts, thank you. All right, moving on to the program. And he's right. Like Trump, I mean, even when Trump was president, he held rally. I mean, you don't normally have a president continuing to hold rallies until election time comes up. Trump did it the whole time. He also did it in the offseason. I think in Trump's case, though, and I'm not taking away what my last caller said about Trump working hard. He actually does do that significantly more than, say, Biden. But that's Trump's claim to fame, is he's a showman. He's an entertainer. So you know what they always say, if you get a job you like, you'll never work a day in your life. When he's holding those rallies, he's in his element. That's what he does. But yeah, I agree he works hard. He's always out there. He'll stay up in the middle of the night. He's on social media tweeting at 3 a.m. and shit like that. I don't disagree that he works hard. He may not be doing what we want him to do, if you ask some folks on the left and some independents, but he does work hard at what he thinks he should be doing. Good point. Will G says, how do you call it mob rule when women are trying to bring reproductive rights up when the state government is trying to hide it? Now, he's referring to my previous caller, and I agree with Will on that if the state governments, because remember, abortion went back to the states. That's all we did. We didn't take anybody's rights away. We just gave it to the states. If the states are trying to prevent women from voting on it, to me, that's just handing it to state dictators, which is kind of what he's saying, is that you can't call it mob rule when women are trying to bring reproductive rights up and the state governments are trying to hide it. And several states were trying to prevent abortion rights from even going up for a vote. They don't even want women to have any say-so in it at all. Like when Arizona went back to that law from the 1700s, where women couldn't even vote back then. In fact, only wealthy white men, white men that own property could vote. So in my opinion, they shouldn't be able to use any law that was enacted before women had any say-so in it. My whole take on it is, if you're going to go with states' rights, just simply put, as a person of color, I'm frightened of states' rights. But if states' rights is going to be the thing, and DJ Julio, appreciate that. Thank you for your support. If you are going to go with states' rights in regards to any law, in my humble opinion, the moment you try to go to states' rights, the first thing they should do is put it up for a vote among the people in that state. Whatever this is no longer going to be controlled by the federal government. I don't care what it is, what privilege you've been enjoying, what law they want to enact. From now on, this is going to be controlled by the states. The first thing that should happen is the people of that state should get a vote on it. We're going to leave it as the status quo, even though it's coming up to states' rights, but it's going to remain at the status quo until we see the results of the vote. That's what I believe. And now, when you start going back to the 1950s and shit like that, I'm going to see if I can switch over to my Wi-Fi, because apparently the mobile is screwing up on TikTok. But that's my opinion on that, is that it should go up for a vote before the states' rights can be enacted. Because otherwise, what you got is state laws that are essentially being forced on the people. Yeah, it's states' rights, but nobody in this state had any say-so over it. Then I don't see that states' rights. That's the governor's right. Looking in the comments, normal Democrats rejected going after the kids. The party went pedo happy. Trump was an easy choice. Okay, before I go to the next call, I'll give you my 4 reasons I believe that Kamala Harris lost real quick. Real briefly, I'll give you the 4 reasons why I believe she lost by, shit, in my opinion. I know some folks disagree with this, but in my opinion, damn near a landslide. I would love to debate with you anytime. You are full of it, says Forrest Frank. Shout out to you, Forrest. Like I said, I always accept and invite dissenting opinion. I do strongly support free speech. I got Frank, who is that? Forrest Franks in the comments, in caps. I would love to debate with you. You are full of it. He didn't put the word shit on there, but for shits and giggles, I'll say he's referring to me as being full of shit. I would love to debate with you anytime too as well, Frank. If you can get to TikTok, I'll bring you up. Hey, listen, at the end of the day, I don't have all the damn answers. You might tear me a new one. But then again, be prepared. Bring your A game. Here's the 4 reasons. And thank you for your input, Frank. 4 reasons. Number 1, I think she's a bad candidate. I've been saying that the whole show. You've kind of heard me already saying it. But number 1, I do believe Kamala Harris was a bad candidate. Obviously, Biden, basically her boss, her president, Biden, was dealing with some really heavy, unfavorable numbers, and the country was unhappy with the Biden economy, the Biden at the border, and things like that. So for her to go on The View, which is very liberal friendly, the whole panel is essentially liberals at this point. They're all anti-Trump. 2 of them claim to be Republicans. One of them used to work for Trump, but they are all anti-Trump. To go on that show and be asked basically an underhanded softball, a lob, easy question you could knock out of the park. What would you do differently from Biden? And her response was, I can't think of anything. This guy has poll numbers that are like damn near in the 40s. And you're not prepared for that? So, my opinion, she's a bad candidate, certainly in regards to that. Not only that, but because she had so little to run on. She was a senator in California. A lot of the country don't favor how California is being ran. And after being senator, as a vice president, you don't really accomplish much. No vice president really accomplishes much. So Trump has this huge, pulpit of, bully pulpit of the fact that he was president for 4 years and people liked his economy. A lot of people did, and she has nothing to run on. So I do believe that also, that's just number 1. I'm going to give you 4 reasons. That's number 1. Nothing to run on. She was a bad candidate, in my opinion. Number 2, I've been saying this, stressing this a lot. 107 days. You got 107 days to state your case, and you're going against somebody that we've all known most of our entire lives. Hell, I'm in my early 50s, and Trump has been a celebrity since I was born. You got to go up against that in 107 days. You got to prove your case. He was a favorable, well-liked celebrity until he became president. And then there's still a lot of people that like him as president. He's been a politician for almost 10 years. You got 107 days to go up against that. And that's a serious handicap. You don't have any major accomplishments to throw out there and say, well, I did this or I brought America this. And you only got 107 days. That's a huge handicap. So certainly I believe that's number 2 for why she had little to no chance of being able to pull it off. Number 3, I know my beloved MAGA Saturday out. You know I am MAGA friendly always, every day. Liberals are welcome as well. You know what I always say. But I know MAGA's not going to like this. But this is a free speech program. Damn it. I have the right to free speech too here. Sexism and racism. Sexism and racism. That's number 3. Her gender and her, we can say race. I mean, you want to say she's Indian, Jamaican, whatever the hell you want to call her, but she's black. She's accepted by the minority community as being black. So her gender and her race hurt her. It hurt her. It did not help her being a woman and being a woman of color. Did not help her. Once again, the whole, damn, I'm having problems with this. Okay, let me try this again for my, we'll go to number 3. My mobile and Wi-Fi both seem to be giving me trouble with YouTube. But yeah, her race and gender did not help her out at all. So number 3, number 1, bad candidate. Number 2, only 107 days to run. Number 3, her race and gender. More so her gender than race. I do believe some folks are not going to want to put in a woman of color, but certainly her gender. There are plenty of women even that do not believe a female has the temperament to be the nation's commander in chief. Now, some would say, I don't mind a woman being president, just not that woman. Fair enough, but I've had plenty of people come on the show and tell me specifically, a woman is too emotional, a woman can't handle the stresses of the job. It wasn't Kamala Harris related. It was the fact that she was born with a vagina. So being a woman definitely hurt her chances of becoming commander in chief. And last but not least, number 4, double standards. I believe. So now, my last guest was talking about Kamala Harris had to be perfect. I'm not saying she had to be perfect, but when I say double standards, I mean independents and liberals are going to hold Kamala Harris accountable for stuff that the right and independents may forgive Trump for. I don't think there was anything Trump said that the right really was critical of him for saying. I mean, you had people even on the left criticizing Kamala Harris because Biden said MAGA is garbage. Kamala Harris ain't got shit to do with that. Kamala Harris is taking flack because Biden referred to Trump supporters as garbage. I don't give a damn what another Republican referred to Democrats at. You could call them a libtard, socialist, whatever negative name comment. I don't give a damn what another Republican called the Democratic Party. There's no way in hell MAGA is going to hold Trump accountable for that. So that's a double standard. Where I often bring up the Haitian migrants and the Muslim. Kamala Harris, if she had done that shit, liberals would have been all over her. They're not voting for her because of some shit that's going on in Israel. Trump, his supporters ain't gonna hold him accountable for none of that shit. So you're dealing with voters that are holding you accountable for stuff, and your adversary is dealing with voters that are gonna pretty much give him a pass no matter what he says. So double standards certainly is number 4. So those are my 4 reasons why I think Kamala Harris essentially could not win. She's a bad candidate. She didn't have enough time. Sexism, racism, and being on the wrong side of double standards. When Trump says I could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and my supporters would go nowhere, Kamala Harris can't say no shit like that. She wouldn't be able to do nothing like that. So yeah, the whole Puerto Rican, the whole Madison Square Garden rally in general. We can talk about the comedians saying Puerto Rico's an island of garbage. The whole thing, I mean, there was a lot more stuff that was said there. Kamala Harris had to throw a rally like that and that kind of shit came out, you'd have all kinds of minorities and stuff saying, I'm not voting for this woman. Someone would have been using the B word. I'm not voting for her. Trump supporters, hey, it was a good time. And I'm not even going to get into January 6th and all this other stuff that I believe the liberals would have held their candidate accountable for all of that stuff. Anyhow, let me go back to the next caller. Time on my side says, I agree with your first reason and find the last 3 wrong. The polls show the main reason was economics. Third was national security, including illegals. Well, national security, the border, I mean, that's Biden, though. I get it that you're saying that they wouldn't vote for Kamala Harris because they believe her administration failed on national security and stuff like that. Kamala Harris really did. I mean, there's a reason why they tried to impeach Mayorkas, because that was his job and Biden's job. Kamala Harris really didn't have a lot of say-so over the border, but the right was successfully able to tie the failures of the border to her. But you clearly tried to impeach Mayorkas because of it, and Biden. Going back to the box, Stick the Ruler. I wanted to bring up, Gen X. Who's in there? I don't know what I just hit. Let me see. I see several people in there.
Yes, sir.
Stick.
What's going on, Tim?
Am I wrong on Kamala?
Nah, I believe that those factors that you named are good ones and contributing factors of why she lost. But she also lost because, like you said, she's a woman and
Person
there's a
of
lot
color.
misogyny going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a lot of misogyny going on. Let's just keep it real. Let's not, TikTok. This is for entertainment purposes only. And
I need to start saying that shit more often, but keep going.
yeah, I just want to say it because I don't want to get you flagged.
Thank you.
Get banned or nothing like that. Because we need to hear both sides. We need to hear some of this ridiculous stuff that these guys come up with on the right. MAGA, they definitely got some excuses and some reasoning. But again, the biggest one, when you actually said it last, it should have been first. It didn't matter what he did. It didn't matter what
double
he said.
standards. Yeah.
Yeah, it was already destined that they was in their minds they're gonna vote for this guy.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah, and it's very difficult to go up against somebody that has little to no accountability. That is hard.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how many facts you come up with. It's nope. I don't care. I'm voting for Trump. I like Trump. I want Trump. Trump is your daddy.
Yeah, and I see in the comment, and I had time on my side in the comments on YouTube saying he disagrees with me on that. But yeah, I mean, the fact is, no matter what he says, it's out of context. He was just joking. You're taking it too serious. You're in your feelings. I mean, because he said a lot of controversial stuff, and MAGA's going to ride with him no matter what. Whereas when the liberals get in and say something controversial like that, you're gonna have some people in the party like, I'm not voting for this person.
Well, when he made the not, it wasn't a joke. It was really what he said. He didn't like the white sentiment in this country.
Yeah.
That right there alone, to me, when you look at the map and how all of these states was red, it was majority of the middle America, Rust Belt states and the South.
Now explain that. I'm pretty. Now explain that for folks who don't know the white sentiment in this country. I do remember covering it and doing a show on it, but explain that for folks who may not know what you're talking about.
Well, around the same time that Ron DeSantis didn't want to let the colleges teach Africana studies and different AP classes, Trump was also already running for president, of course, and he put out that he don't like the way that the white folks are being looked upon or judged or whatever, that they're now the bad ones, basically. He didn't like that.
And I covered a show. I actually did a show on it, and I think I said at the time that, hell, if I was white, I might consider voting for him too because of that, because he's making it clear that, because we always talk about doing for blacks and doing for, Hispanics. He was making it clear, I'm going to make things better for whites. I mean, I believe you're being mistreated.
Yeah. So my whole point that I was trying to make with that was all of that is a contributing factor to why she lost as well. Her strategy and his strategy, he has more. I mean, the country itself is predominantly.
But does she have anything good to run on at all?
Oh, she had a lot of good things.
Give me some examples.
In the sense of 100 days. Well, the incentive of trying to figure out how she could give average Americans $25,000 tax break on buying a new house. That was something that could have been implemented. And even now, I'm looking back too. Right, Trump is trying to match or surpass people's records or whatever you want to call it and what they do. So in this mass deportation, the same guy that made Obama or had Obama's name as the deporter in chief, now Trump has it. Yeah. And Trump is basically allowing him to do not just what he did under Obama, but more. Yeah. Look, I want to beat that score. I want to crush.
Well, yeah, because Obama's party did not want him to be the deporter in chief. That was given to him as an insult. Trump's party wants him to be the deporter in chief.
So that's my point. And they will never give him that credit until it's time to be like, well, Obama did it too.
Yep, that is true.
You know what I mean?
That is true.
So why wouldn't you? So this is my thing again. The border wasn't a problem. Not really. And
what? No. You're saying under Biden the border was not a problem?
Listen why it wasn't a problem. If it was such a big problem, regardless of whether you just love Trump or not, you would have passed that bill.
Not really. No,
take it serious.
I got to push back on that.
No.
No.
I got to push back
and
on
this
that.
is the reason. This is the reason. Other than what you're going to say is the fear of Trump, blah blah blah.
That ain't what I'm gonna
your
say.
career. I don't. Why wouldn't you do it? Why is the Senate basically already passing it?
I got to push back on that.
Joe Biden's already gonna pass it, right? But he needs the House to do it. But the House's majority ran by Republicans. They stopped the bill, didn't even look at it. It's dead on arrival.
Yeah.
So again, then there's no problem at the border. That's just an average Joe telling you, if I got the problem, I got it to where it can be fixed, but you don't want to do it just because somebody else told you I want to run on this, then there is no problem at the border.
I gotta push back on this. Okay. First of all, when Biden came up with that, when they shot it down, people are going to say, "Well, you've already been in office for 3 years. Why are you doing it just now? Why you didn't do this shit earlier?" But I will say this as well. By that point, when they came up with this border bill, this bipartisan border bill, people were so fed up with Biden, and they already had their eyes set on Trump that they didn't hold the right accountable for, they didn't have a problem with him shooting it down, because now there's a good chance we're going to get Trump, and not only are we going to get the border secure, we're going to get a lot of other shit we want too, and Trump is going to secure the border even more so than what's in this damn bill.
I'm going to say it again. The same guy who was up under Obama is the same guy who's going to do it now. Again.
But he's going to do it at Trump's direction.
But listen, that's the only difference. The only difference is he's got Peter Griffin in the White House, and yeah, it's horrible. And he definitely has a Lois on his arm, because she's being spread all over that doggone Russian news like butter.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like they spreading her. Yeah, I can't believe that's not butter right there.
Why do you think they're doing that? Did he have a falling out with Putin or something? Why is that happening?
No, I think Putin just want to let him know, check this out, I'm still that man.
By doing that to his wife?
Yeah, I'm still your daddy. Yeah. I'll slap her just like I'll slap you.
I don't know. That's pretty right. You could make a phone call and tell me that shit. He ain't put my bride on TV.
Listen, the man knows Taekwondo. Trump knows Big Macs. Ain't nothing finna happen. Ain't nothing finna happen. He's already been talking about peace and this, that. Putin ain't on that. Putin, man, I'll come to your house.
Damn.
Play with it.
So what you're saying is the exact opposite of what MAGA says. You're saying that it ain't Putin that's concerned about Trump. It's Trump that's scared of Putin.
Yeah, he been scared of Putin. He's scared. Think about this. You're president of a nation where anybody at any given time can come up and handle you. Yeah, you got protective services and this, but we see how his protective services have been performing.
Yeah.
So again, he don't have the iron fist on the people to they're so scared. All they want to do is just live. I don't care how.
I don't know if I
hear a mask on. No, I'm just being honest. I don't care how cold it is. He's the strong man. He has the army. We're gonna listen to him. That's what Trump wants. Trump wants the strong man. Look at me. Those NFT cards he got. He really thinks that's what he really looks like.
I gotta disagree. Let me read this comment to you coming off of YouTube and tell me if you agree with this. Mina Hiram says, we're talking about Kamala Harris, said if she had more time, because I said 107 days you can't do shit. She said if she had more time, would she have won? Says no, 107-day thing did not matter. More time would have hurt her. You can't dodge interviews and press for a year. So saying that the short time was not what hurt Kamala. It was the fact that she wasn't going out and doing interviews and dodging the press. Stating basically the same thing that she would not have won, though.
If Joe would have bowed out, yeah, I don't know if she still would have won, man. Because like I said, I don't think it was the time. I just think it was her. I think it was she's a woman, and then on top of that, she's a melanated woman, and they don't want that. So the misogyny came out, whether you was black, Spanish, white, Honduran, that's been nationalized, whatever. you was not gonna vote for her. Now, not saying that that's not me. That wasn't me. I voted for her. But I'm saying when we look at how the votes went and all these percentages of these different groups, it's obvious. Most of the men voted for Donald Trump.
Oh yeah. Well, most of the white women voted for Trump as well, which means that Trump won the woman. Trump won the female and the male vote because most women are white, and he got like 50-some% of the white women vote too.
So again, with the exception of the black men, that it was phenomenally high for Kamala Harris, but we still had that section that really shouldn't have gave that man, 13%, whatever it was. That was kind of high for us.
Yeah.
So like it's one of those things.
But what does that say about Kamala that she didn't get a higher ranking among African American males?
It just says that they would rather vote in their own demise versus their own best interest.
Their own demise? I gotta move on.
Listen. I mean, they already talking about how they got Amber Rose and Hulk Hogan and all of this stuff. Well, right now we got Luke Skywalker of the Miami Sound Machine / 2 Live Crew talking about, man, now they out there protesting the Cubans in Miami.
Oh.
He called it a parade. He was laughing. He called it a parade. Then he said, no, not a parade. They down there protesting because they done voted for Trump, and he talking about deporting their ass.
I don't feel. I gotta move it on. But let me just say this: I don't feel sorry for it because it ain't like Trump lied. I mean, Trump made it clear what he was gonna do. If you voted for him and you don't like what he does after he wins, that ain't his fault. He told you what he was gonna do. You didn't listen. You didn't believe him. You thought he was joking. That's on you. Last word on you.
Hey, last word, appreciate it. This is the thing. Again, he told you what he was gonna do.
Right.
You just wanted to win. A lot of them are mad because we're not mad. Because the Democratic side is laughing because y'all voted to get your own ass up out of here.
Yep.
That's on y'all. So please don't say, come help me protest. I'm not doing none of that. You wanted to jump and skip the line. We was already at the precipice of getting there, and then you just want to skip the line so you tried to skip the line by being a snake and voting for the wrong person. It is what it is.
Well, how about this? On the way to the deportation center, we'll stop off and get some of that $2 gas you help elect. I gotta move it on, Stick.
Hey, nope, none of that. Nope. Trump gonna pay for it.
Oh my God. Holla. All right, moving on with the program. What it says, comedy, ha. Steven, I don't know what you appreciate the laughter, I guess. And Double A Michael. Wow. You got a lot of, I don't know what you're saying there. You're talking about God and stuff. Yes, shit talking and disrespecting people is hard work. Well, Trump is good at it. Real quick, I want to look at a super chat here. Overwhelming number of Americans did not want Kamala. Facts. True. That is true, ANG. I can't disagree. The numbers do not lie. The numbers don't lie. Continuing on with the program. Thank you, folks that are tapping the screen. You know, this woman was not that intelligent, and people knew she would not be a good representative of America. I don't know, Mickey. Two things. First of all, you said she's not that intelligent. I don't agree with that. But also, I don't agree with the fact that she would not be a good representative of America, because I believe that if you do surround yourself with the best and brightest and you take their advice, you could be I don't think you need a degree. I don't think you need a whole lot of experience. If you surround yourself with the best and brightest, you got the proper handlers surrounding you. I mean, shit, you could be like Milli Vanilli. How many of you folks remember Milli Vanilli, that duo from the 1980s where they're putting out good music that they weren't even singing? If you got the right surrounding cast, you can be great. You can be great. I mean, so the idea that Kamala Harris would not have been a good representative, I don't buy that. If you, like I said, if you surround yourself with the best and brightest and you are not trying to challenge them, suggesting that you know more than them, you can get quite a bit done. I mean, there's plenty of intelligent folks in the military. There's plenty of intelligent folks in the health and science community. As long as you get the right folks and you surround yourself with them and you're willing to take their advice and listen to them, you can portray a really good image on the American people. Maybe she might need a little bit more speech training so that she can get out there and relay it to the people. George W. Bush wasn't great at that shit. And he got 8 years. Nobody looks at George W. Bush and goes, that was a great, smart dude. He got 8 years out of that shit. So the idea that Kamala Harris couldn't do it, I don't totally buy into that. Let me go back to the box. So Milli Vanilli being a phony is a good example of putting a phony in charge of the country. I think they're all phonies to some degree, John. I really do. I think they're all phonies to some degree. I think they flip-flop and say whatever the hell they got to say sometimes to get elected. And that's including Trump. That's including him. You favor the economy, you favor his border security, you may favor the way he leads this country, but you probably would agree he's told some lies. You probably would agree he's not been genuine on some shit, such as COVID will be gone by April. No, that's a phony. You don't have no reason to say that. But you favor the other things, so you were willing to vote for him again. So yeah, I think they're all phonies to some degree. Going back to the box, I don't know what I did there. Tap the screen, get the likes up to about 30,000. Gen X, good evening. Welcome to the program. Gen X. Tyson fight is about to start soon, so I'm going to have to order the preliminaries or whatever you call it. Everybody else that's on the card. Gen X, good evening.
What is happening, my friend?
You know how it is, hanging around like Al Sharpton at a Klan meeting. So what I'm asking is, now I was talking about RFK earlier. What do you think about RFK being appointed? You think he's a good appointment?
I think he's a great appointment.
Great.
Yeah, I think he's an outstanding, probably a very, very good move politically by Mr. Trump, because Trump managed to get the crazy off him.
How do you know? He hasn't even been put in office yet. How do you know he's managed to get the crazy off him?
RFK will keep the crazy off of Trump.
Oh, you think RFK is going to keep Trump in line?
Oh, well, no, but RFK's reputation and as much stuff that people think he's crazy for,
yeah,
forget all about Trump.
No, I don't know if that's a good thing or not. That you're crazy, but you're gonna put somebody in your administration that's crazier, so that it takes the. I don't know if that's a good thing, Gen X. That don't sound too good to me.
No, that's a great thing.
No.
I'll tell you why. Because every time, and I don't think RFK is crazy, but I think that every time that RFK does something that the left finds is completely off the wall, that'll be less focus on them fucking with Trump, keeping him off his game. That's why Trump couldn't accomplish a lot the first time. They was at him every second of the way.
Well, I don't disagree that Trump was constantly in battles and fights, but I don't believe that Trump couldn't accomplish stuff because they was after him. I think Trump likes to fight. I mean, Trump gets up there and says shit that like the whole Black Lives Matter is a terrorist outfit, and Black Lives Matter and all this going back and forth. He didn't have to go after that group. That group was going after police and shit. He decided to jump in that on his own. He likes to fight.
Oh yeah, it ain't no secret he likes to fight. But RFK gave them another target. So if he gets kind of tired of fighting, he can take a step back.
Oh my God. So RFK has linked vaccinations to autism and said the COVID vax was the deadliest vaccine ever made, said AIDS, the autoimmune disease may actually not be connected to HIV, stated that gender identification might be impacted by water. So I don't know, all these kids that are saying they're transgender could be something in the water. Said that COVID was engineered so that it does not affect Jewish and Chinese. This is the guy that's the head of Human and Health Services.
Hell yeah.
He sounds like a kook.
He don't sound like a kook. He sounds like he don't leave any stone unturned. They've been talking about that AIDS thing
for years since I was a kid.
AIDS is
You know what I mean? Now they've been talking about the water fucking people up
no.
since I was a kid.
They've been telling you.
yeah,
They've been telling you.
bro.
They've been telling you since you was a kid that the water can make you gay and interfere with your sexuality.
No. Don't misrepresent my
I'm
words.
telling you what he said.
No, what I'm saying is that this is nothing new. This is stuff that's been talked about
No,
for decades. Yeah, of course it has.
not this shit. I mean, he said. Well, and by the way, just because something's been said or talked about, don't mean it's accurate. I mean, people
Exactly.
been. Yeah, and he's been.
We agree. We agree that.
So
We
where?
agree.
Let me ask you this: should he be required? This is just like with Trump. Should he be required to produce evidence for some of these wild claims he's making?
I don't see why. Then the other side would have to produce evidence every time they come up with some wild claim.
Well, they're not the head of Health and Human Services at this point. He is.
Not now they are, because they all got their asses voted out.
Right. So now he's the one. So now he's the one.
America done saw through it.
I don't know, Gen X. The guy said 5G wireless has been used to control the behavior of humans. Do you believe this stuff?
I think there's possibility to that.
Oh my.
I mean, they've been saying that for years. Mind control, CIA, psyops operations, and I'm not real big into that whole conspiracy thing, Tim.
That's what he's. But he is.
Nothing.
He obviously is.
This is nothing new. This is nothing new, brother. This is nothing new.
Yeah.
It's nothing that they haven't been saying.
No, crazy people.
Now,
I agree with you. Crazy people are nothing new. I agree with that. But this does sound like stuff somebody crazy would say.
Okay, let me hit you with this. In as much as, and I know you like to say this all the time, where's the evidence? And many
Right.
times I agree with you on that.
Okay.
Now, my position against that would be along those same lines. Where's the evidence that he's wrong? If there's evidence that he's wrong, prove it. Show that he's wrong.
You want people to. So he gets up there and says that 5G wireless is used to control human beings' behavior, and you want us to prove that that's wrong?
Yeah. Prove that it can't be done.
I don't know how you would even do that. How could you prove that? I mean, that would be just like saying I can make you jump 10 feet by looking at you through the phone, and somebody prove that he can't actually do that. How the hell do you do that?
Exactly. The same way you can't. Hold on. I'm gonna get you. That's the same thing.
Oh my God.
The same thing you say about the election. You and I have this conversation about the election. Well, prove that it was rigged. Prove that it wasn't rigged.
That's not how it. Gen X. That's Gen X. That's not how it works. That's like me. That's like the cop saying, you're a thief, and I'm like, no, I'm not. Well, prove that you're not a thief. It's not my job. You're the one making the accusation. If he is making these accusations, it's not the public's job to prove that he is wrong. It's his job to prove that he's right. He's the one saying this stuff.
No, it's not how. That's not. It works both ways.
No, it doesn't.
It does work both ways.
So if
They gotta prove him wrong.
No.
If he's saying something that he believes to be true, then their job is to prove him wrong.
No, that's crazy. If you're saying something that's outlandish, people don't have to prove what you're saying. You have to prove it because you're telling us stuff that you believe is going to help out the public and is in the best interest of mankind. And you're telling me that we have to prove what you're saying is crazy as opposed to you coming forward with evidence to show what you're saying is true?
That's my point, Tim. That's my point. It's not that outlandish.
Yes, it is.
This
That's
is
crazy.
Stuff that's been said for years.
No, that's
years.
So what are you saying that? So what are you saying? The Haitian migrants? What do we say? The Haitian migrants got to prove that they're not eating dogs and cats?
I would say, yeah.
Oh my God! Listen? I don't like watermelon. Do I need to prove that to you?
Oh, I know you love you some melon.
No, actually, I don't. I don't. I haven't tasted watermelon probably in 40 years. I don't like it. I didn't like it as a kid.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like watermelon. Do I have to
Oh man,
prove that though?
I love me.
Oh
I would
man.
never believe that. Hey, if you came by my house to hang out and watch this Tyson fight, I'm getting some snacks. All right, I'm getting snacks not that you like, that I like. I'm gonna give me some melon, some of that crispy chicken wings from KFC.
I like
some
chicken.
mac and cheese.
I like chicken.
Some mac and cheese. Man, if you don't touch the, you know what the first thing I'm gonna say halfway through the night? If you don't touch the melon, man, what's the matter? What the fuck you ain't touching? Well, my pants dirty.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't eat. I don't eat melons. I'm not a big fan. There's a lot of those stereotypical things that blacks. Kool-Aid. I don't drink Kool-Aid. I haven't had Kool-Aid probably in 20, 25 years. I mean, I'm different on some of that shit. I'm different on some of that shit.
It's actually the same here. I'm Italian. I don't like pizza.
I love
I mean,
pizza.
I'll eat it, but I'm not a huge fan of pizza.
Okay.
I'd rather go hit KFC and get an 8-piece bucket, personally.
I can fuck up some chicken, but to get back on the topic though, I can't believe. So if somebody says something wild, it's up to the people to prove that his wild statement is actually not true, as opposed to that person having the burden of proving that their wild statement is true. You want people to prove that what they're saying is not true.
Disprove it, yeah.
That's crazy. I could not disagree with that more. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like if the liberals say that Trump is like Mustache Man, he has to prove that he's not.
Yeah, I believe that. Absolutely. No, that's a thank you. You made my argument for me.
How does he do that?
You made my argument for me. When the left says he's like Mustache Man, and his behavior reflects things that shows him to be the opposite of that categorization of his character, perfect. Thank you, Tim.
I don't.
Yes, that's on him. That's on him to prove he's not like that.
And I see Rudy Miller says this is why the idiocracy has begun. So he doesn't agree with your statement. I don't know. I guess to me, if you make certainly if you're going to be the department of the head of the Department of Health and Human Services, if you're going to tell me that my phone is controlling my behavior, you need to you should first of all you should release not only a statement, but you should release your research. The medical community, when they come and tell you eggs increase cholesterol, something like that, they generally release that it was a study. These people ate eggs over this period of time, and here are the results. They don't just say some wild shit with nothing to back it. What he is doing, I'm gonna say some wild shit with nothing to back it, and if you don't like it, then you need to prove that I don't know what I'm talking about. That ain't normally how it works.
Didn't they recently disprove that? The whole cholesterol thing with eggs?
Yeah, if you there are things you can show where if you do a study and maybe somebody else did a larger study, or maybe while you were doing your study you forgot to take in consideration that maybe some of these people were smokers or they were doing something else. I get, yeah, you can disprove it, but they did give you a reason why they came to that conclusion. I don't think RFK is given like he said that the COVID vaccination is the deadliest vaccination in history. Based on what? What is that based on? What's the second deadliest? I mean, go ahead.
Now, when you said that earlier, at first I didn't agree with you, but then I did agree with you, and let me explain why. Kind of to follow your logic, there's not enough data out yet. It hasn't been long enough. It's been, what, 3.5, 4 years?
Right.
You won't know the answer to that for 20 more years.
Right. So how does he know it now?
I can't answer
exactly.
that.
That's my point.
I do agree with you on that point.
Yeah, this guy is saying wild shit. That's what I'm saying. This guy, I mean, hopefully, the thing that I agree with RFK on that I think if he stuck with could make him a really good appointee is getting better ingredients in our food. I lived overseas. I know what it's like to just simply continuing living the way I'm living and losing weight because the food isn't as bad. When I lived in Australia for 5 years, I lost weight and I didn't make any changes of any significance. They just have better quality food. So if he does that, he could turn out to be a great appointee. But if he gets into all of this shit about 5G phones controlling your behavior and all this stuff about the COVID vaccination and saying that AIDS didn't come from HIV, which I think that for the most part is scientifically proven that AIDS spawns from HIV. You have the I forgot what the HIV what the acronym stand for, but that's where AIDS comes from.
Human immunodeficiency virus.
Yeah. So for him to say it doesn't come from that, and well, where does it come from? And he releases nothing at all. We got to prove that. So if he goes down that path of saying all this crazy shit, I think he's a terrible appointee. But if he sticks to simply making it so that you can lower the kids' obesity rates and not have teenage diabetics and shit like that, he could be fantastic, and Trump would get credit for it. But we'll see. I got to move on, Gen X. I'll give you the last
Let
word.
me hit you with one. Can I hit you with one more thing, Tim?
Sure. Go ahead.
Gotcha. And this isn't a diss on you or anything, but I'm wondering why you and Gincal and Stick to Ruler, why are you guys always trying to make excuses for why Kamala lost? Can't we just say she was a horrible candidate and she should have never been there in the first place? Because that's the reality.
I just gave my. Hold on. I gave my top 4 reasons. Hold on. I gave my top 4 reasons why she didn't win and why I thought she couldn't win. Number 1 is I said she was a bad candidate. What are you talking about?
Okay, I missed that.
Okay. And not only did I say it here, I created a long form video on YouTube today. And I gave those same 4 reasons, and I spoke of them in more detail. And even there, number 1 reason, she's a bad candidate. Interview wise, I mean, she was a bad candidate. I said that even there.
All right, let me go and read that, because then that's my bad. I wasn't up on your.
You're good. Don't worry about it.
On your stuff, because I just think she was a bad candidate, and that's why she didn't win. I mean, I said this to you 3-4 months ago that the only reason the polls are so close, there's no way the polls should be that close, and that's why it was so.
Well, I will say also, I do believe Trump is a bad candidate as well. I just believe that they don't hold Trump accountable to the level of Kamala Harris. I mean, Trump gives a ton of interviews as opposed to Kamala not giving many interviews. And whereas Kamala may not answer some questions right, Trump answers some questions incredibly wrong, and he just doesn't get the same level of accountability. I don't think he was a good candidate either. I just think he had the benefit of not being held accountable, which is out of my 4 reasons why she couldn't win. Number 4 was she's on the wrong side of double standards, where the liberals and independents would hold Kamala Harris accountable for shit that the folks on the right would never hold Trump accountable for. When that guy said I could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and my supporters would go nowhere, Kamala Harris could never say nothing like that, because they would go somewhere. Go.
Well, pollsters had her winning, or they had her so close.
Yeah.
51 to 49, 48 to 47. Granted, you can't tell me that that's even close to accurate when she couldn't win 1 swing state. Not even 1. He wiped her out.
That is true. Appreciate it, Gen X. Thank you.
All right, brother. Have a great weekend, Tim. Watch the fight. Enjoy the fight tonight, my friend.
Damn right.
Some watermelon.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Always good talking to Gen X. Gen X is a friend of the program. Come on back anytime, Gen X. Real quick in the comments, negative stop. What it says? Negative. Stop with the BS. Okay, I see what you're saying now. Negative. Stop with the bullshit narrative. Harris is only down by just over 2 million votes. Trump is barely at 50% and did not, I'm assuming, do much better than he did in 2020. I'd be curious to know what did Trump do with the Hispanic vote in 2020. But I will also say this: you're saying Trump didn't do better. Trump did not do quote unquote much better than he did in 2020. Well, that speaks volumes, though. Will G, is that Trump lost in 2020, and after 4 years of Biden and Harris, he actually did better this time. He didn't do anything to earn the increase in votes. That's indicating that Harris and Biden were just that bad. That they actually gave more folks the incentive to vote for Trump. According to what you're saying, is that he went up. His voting total went up. And keep in mind, the Biden-Harris ticket scored more votes than the Harris-Walz ticket. So Trump's support went up after he lost, and Kamala Harris's support went down after she won. So, I mean, that's still not making Kamala Harris look good at all. In other words, you are whatever MAGA says you are, and you have to prove it. Otherwise, guilty until innocent. Nothing new. Jim Crow renewed. Now, he's referring to my last guest talking about you got to prove. Yeah, I agree with, and I made it clear I didn't agree with him that if somebody says something crazy, it's up to you to prove what they're saying is not. No, it's if the person says something that is unorthodox, it's their job to prove what they're saying is true. If I make accusations that you are sexist, bigoted, racist, homophobic, it's my job to prove that you are. It's not your job to prove to me that what I'm saying is false. I actually think that's backwards, but Gen X has a different opinion on that. Can you at least talk about the Amish? They won Pennsylvania for Trump. I have not seen the Amish total to indicate that, Jonathan. The Amish won Pennsylvania for Trump. I have not. I'd have to look into the polls for that. Wrong, stupid. I always like when an input starts with an insult. Wrong, stupid. Where did the extra 10 million votes come from in 2020? Some elections people vote, some elections they don't. I mean, I get the point that you're assuming that the extra votes mean people had to cheat and they had to be Democratic cheaters, but we've seen that already in 2020. And the right has been on the wrong side of all those cheating allegations. But I understand where you're going with it. Going back to the box, Lewis. Good evening, Lewis. Maybe you can tell me what I'm getting wrong. Will G says anyone would have been a bad candidate according to MAGA. That is true, but I do believe if you had let me put it this way. If Biden had stuck to the way he suggested, where he was going to be a transitional president to help get rid of Trump, and he was going to run for one term, that means you would have had you would have had a Democratic primary, first of all. So you'd have had probably 10, 15 Democrats. Could be anybody from Andrew Yang to Christine Hildebrand to Cory Booker. Maybe what is the Hakeem Jeffries might have, who knows? Who knows who would have been in there? But you would have had probably well over a dozen Democrats vying for the DNC's top job. And they all and whoever won that, by the way, would have had probably a good year or two to campaign. So you would have had a primary. I don't know, that lasts what, 6 months, maybe almost a year. And then you got that Democratic nominee that may, I mean, the point I'm making is that the individual would have had a lot more time to introduce themselves to the public, and it probably would not have been Kamala Harris, in my opinion. I mean, I don't think she would have got at the top of the ticket. I understand why the Democrats did what they did. But I don't fault Kamala Harris for it. I fault Biden for not doing what he led people to believe he was going to do, which was step down after one term. Biden felt like he could do it, and everything went downhill from there. If Biden had to step down, the Democrats would have had a lot more time. I mean, they could have put forth maybe somebody else who did have a record to run on. Anyone would have been, okay, I've seen that. I just believe Biden not stepping down is probably the biggest problem with the Democratic Party. But then, like I said, also Kamala Harris is not a good candidate. Looking in the comments, when Trump was interviewed, they never challenged him when he obviously lied over and over again. So no, not the same scrutiny at all. And I don't disagree with that. I do believe, I've watched plenty of Trump interviews and I'm yelling at the screen like, you gonna just let him say that? And yeah, they do. And like I said, because to me, the Haitian migrant comment was ridiculous. You just you heard a few people say that, and you just got on TV and said this to the American people. Is that how you normally interact? Is it just a few rumors, and you'll go out and tell the American people that that's actually happening? There was not a lot of pushback from the right on that. In fact, when he said that, as opposed to the right questioning where he got that from, they actually set out to find information to try to defend his claim. So I don't think Kamala Harris could have got away with doing something like that. I think not only the Haitian community would have went apeshit on her, you'd have had a lot of other minority communities that would have went apeshit on her as well for just You went on TV and just relayed a rumor that made this community look this bad. Looking in the comments real quick, Will G says, as I said before, voters disenfranchised and bomb threats. Now that's the answer that he's given to the 20 million votes. That voters were disenfranchised and they were also receiving basically death threats of sort. I don't know if that accounts for 20 million of them though. I don't know. I don't know if was it that many bomb threats scaring that many people from voting. I don't know. I don't know if I would. I don't know if that's the answer for 20 million. An alcoholic for the Department of Human Services. What a joke! That's the guy on the screen behind me. He's saying that guy is an alcoholic, and now he is in charge of the Department of Health and Human Services. Like I said, the guy got a lot of bad. Here's the point I'm trying to make. RFK is not respected by the medical community. I get that he's been an environmental lawyer and he's been fighting on some of these causes, but he's also made a bunch of outrageous statements that I just mentioned here. He does not have the respect and credibility of the medical community because he said things that are probably medically disproven, like AIDS doesn't come from HIV. Real quick in the comments, Bandito. Can't elected president accept he lost 2020? No, you're saying can't Trump accept that he lost in 2020? Trump doesn't apologize. I don't think there is, and this is not only Trump, but I'm going to throw MAGA in this pile as well. I don't think there is anything you could show Trump or MAGA that would make them say, okay, he lost in 2020. Nothing. I don't care if people on the Republican side come forward and admit that they cheated, like the fake electors actually confessing and pleading guilty in court. Well, they just pleaded guilty because the system was going to railroad them. So they're not even accepting their confessions. I mean, you got several Republicans that pled guilty to committing crimes. Well, the government was going to give them 20 years, so they pled guilty to get 10. They just did it because they wanted less. So they're not even accepting their confessions. So I don't believe there's anything you can do that will make Trump or Trump supporters believe he lost the 2020 election. And that not only because of, like I said, not accepting the confessions, but keep in mind, all of the entities that are involved in overseeing the election, they don't trust them either. So who's going to tell you he lost? And you're going to say, yeah, I believe that group. I don't believe the FBI. I don't believe any of the three-letter organizations. So who could tell you? Mike Pence was highly respected until he started saying Trump didn't win. Well, now I don't believe Mike Pence either. So who could tell you? So there's no way to prove to Trump or MAGA that they didn't win. You're not going to believe. I've said this before in regards to the notion that Trump's criminal charges are all witch hunts and things like that. Are they all witch hunts? I do believe that there are charges that Trump faced that he would not have faced if he wasn't running for president. If you want to title that as a witch hunt, so be it. But running for president, bad shit happens when you're running. Hillary Clinton would not have been accused of drinking baby's blood if she didn't run for president. Obama being born in Kenya would have never came up if he didn't run for president. Hunter Biden would have never been charged with that lying on a gun application bullshit if his dad wasn't running for president. There are negatives that come along with it. But with Trump, I've said on the program before several times in regards to this, everything that he's being charged with is a witch hunt. It's all election interference. I've asked many folks on the right, many Trump supporters, to go into an imaginary fictional world and let's just pretend that Trump committed some kind of major felony, some major offense. Let's just, for shits and giggles, we're not saying he actually did it, but let's say, for instance, just imagining fictional scenario where he actually committed a major felony. The question was simple. Who could tell you and you would actually believe them? The answer is generally nobody. Nobody. So it kind of leaves you in no man's land. I mean, it makes it so that it's impossible really for him to commit. As long as he's saying, I didn't do it, and you don't believe nobody else that's saying he did, then he's going to always, everything that he could ever be charged with is going to be a witch hunt. If they pardon Trump with charges, then pardon Hunter. Well, Biden is going to pardon Hunter. If Biden does not pardon Hunter, he really does have fucking dementia. That would be the dumbest fucking thing you could ever do, to leave your son out there like that. To an administration that has made it clear they don't like your son. Hunter Biden might get overcharged if he leaves it up to Trump. Why would they already don't said you got dementia, you don't know where the hell you're at. They're blaming you as calling you the worst president in history. Sleepy. Everything. Why would you're not gonna get any credit from the Trump administration if you leave your son out there and let him hang to dry. They think you're the worst president in history. Why would you have nothing to lose by pardoning your son? You could add the insult to the top of the pile. If he doesn't pardon his son, that would be the dumbest thing. I can't, in my opinion, the moment Kamala Harris lost, he should have announced it the next damn day. I just can't imagine him not pardoning his son. Real quick, I do want to respond to another super chat I saw in there. 60 threats in one county alone. 60 bomb threats in one county alone. You said, I didn't hear, I heard it was threats. I didn't know it was that many of them. Where are these threats going? To the polling places? Because they used to do that back in the pre-civil civil rights days. Make all kinds of threats, hang around the polling places with guns or some shit. Maybe wave a Klan hat or something like that. I haven't heard it was that bad in this last election to that level. They'd rather talk about the 20% of black males that voted for Trump rather than the majority of white women who voted for him, because it has more capital to it. I would do the same thing. I would also rather be talking about, if I was a Republican or if I was Trump, I would talk more about the people of color that voted for me too, because that's historic. Women vote for the right and left depending on the election, but people of color voting Republican, that ain't happened since the civil rights era, since the whole switch, where Republicans, or better yet, where Democrats got fed up with giving black civil rights and became Dixiecrats, and then they went to the Republican Party. That's a much bigger accomplishment. If Trump can get a rise in people of color, that's a bigger accomplishment to me than getting women to vote for him. So I would be running on that too. Real quick, and going back to the box. And by the way, tap the screen, folks. Push your boy up on over 40,000. That's not much to ask. Make that happen. Get your boy to 40,000. I don't know what I'm looking at here. Trump has declined very badly as well. Bandito. People that are close around Trump has said that, but they are Trump detractors. I haven't heard anybody that is a fan of Trump publicly state that he is declining. But several folks who were part of his previous administration, they are saying he's declining. But you got to take it with a grain of salt, just like us liberals took with a grain of salt all of the Biden detractors that were saying he was declining until that debate on June 27th. Fight time, Tim. Is it fight time? It is 7:54. As promised, I do want to see the Tyson fight. I may stop in here after that. You're going to start seeing some of the undercard fighting. Who's rooting for Tyson? In the comments, Tyson or what the fuck is his name again? My money's on Tyson. What is the guy? Paul? What is the name? Something Paul. Who do you think's going to win? Just put it in the comments. I'm curious to see how many of you folks think Tyson's going to. Remember, Tyson is 58 years old. The guy's 27. Okay, I see your comment there, Stick the Ruler says watching it now. I'm about to go and turn on my Netflix. Tim is senator and Byron is representative. They are needed those positions to pass. I don't quite get the grammar there. I want him to be punished. You want Logan Paul or whatever? What is it Logan? You want him to be punished? Dear Lord, all you have to do is listen to Trump in his speeches. He's more sharpened together than Biden was 8 years ago. I think that's part of Trump's problem is we are listening to his speeches. When he's talking about Hannibal Lecter and sharks and shit, we are listening to it. So there is some stuff in his speeches that don't make sense. I know you guys laugh and say it's all part of a joke, but there is a little bit of incoherence in some of his speeches. Ear biting. Logan Paul wins by DQ, by disqualification. You think Trump might do that? All right, I gotta go. I appreciate the slight tapping of the screen. We got to 30,000. I will likely come. It's a weekend, so I might come in here and holler at you guys about what happened afterwards. It will be open because right now I did have it on subscriber only because I wanted to talk mainly to MAGA this live, but I will have it open on the next live. So I do appreciate you folks rolling with your boy on TikTok. See you in a little bit, and I want to address my YouTube audience as well. Looks like I did have a little bit of support on YouTube horizontal. So I made, because I'm pointing to my YouTube verticals over here, but I'm pointing to YouTube horizontal. I've been tempted I was considering using this device for Instagram or some other platform, but a little bit of support came through here. So I may end up continuing on YouTube horizontal here. But at the end of the day, all of this shit costs money. So if there's no support, I gotta go where there is. And if there's no support on YouTube horizontal, I would have to go somewhere where there is because I purchased a whole device for that. Anyway, appreciate you folks tuning in. You know how the program is ran. We don't block, ban, or censor. I'll see you folks in a few hours. Same with you on YouTube horizontal. Thank you. Gotta go.